Score is Southern California 6, Tennessee nothing. Back into punt formation goes Buster Stevens, left halfback for the Volunteers. He's going to kick if he kicks from the 24, his own 24. Takes the ball, takes a step forward. This time he gets it away. It's almost blocked away, but it comes up the field. It's on Southern California 40-yard line, goes out of bounds on the Trojans 38-yard. It'll be Southern California's ball, first and 10 on their own 38-yard line. Trojans take over, and out goes Pat West. He is the boy who kicked off for Southern California. He's only in the game. He's being replaced by Whitehead. Whitehead comes in, West goes out. West came in to kick off, came in to try and convert for the extra point. He was unsuccessful on the attempted conversion. Placed at fullback by deep. Southern California out of a T-form down behind the center man in motion. This time is Bobby Morris. Morris going out as a flanker. Ball is given to deep Whitehead. Whitehead plunges across the 40, reaches the 42. Knocked down on the 42 by Bob Doblstein. One of the two Doblstein brothers. Russ, his brother, playing one tackle. Bob playing the right guard of the Tennessee Volunteer line. Tennessee playing a six-man line at the moment. Southern California's ball on their own 42, and time is called. As yet, we've had no signal as to who has asked for this timeout. Looks like it's the referee's timeout. It'll be second down coming up now. Roughly 7 yards to go. Trojans ball on their own 42-yard line. 15 yards in from the western side of the playing field, directly below our NBC booth. Score is Southern California 6, Tennessee nothing. An early touchdown came very quickly with startling rapidity, which electrified this crowd of 94,000, which had not expected anything that fast. Buster Stevens trying to punt from his own 21-yard line. Has the kick blocked, or rather from the 31. It rolls back to the Tennessee 25, where Jim Callanan scoops it up and goes over standing up. With that recovered punt, or rather with the recovered fumble, he ran it into the end down, and the Trojans were out in front. They did not convert. They lead 6-0. Hardy himself in motion this time. A quick kick by Deep Whitehead. It goes over the Tennessee safety man's head and out of bounds, somewheres in the neighborhood of the Tennessee 19-yard line. A quick kick. Deep Whitehead, fullback of Southern California, booting. He boots out of bounds on the Tennessee 19. The Volunteers take over. On that exchange of punts, they lost 12 yards. A quick kick by Whitehead. Goes right smack over Mr. Buster Stevens' head, who was back in safety position for Tennessee. Actually, he wasn't back in safety position. He was about 18 yards behind the line of scrimmage, playing in the secondary defense, in no position to receive that kick. It was a quick kick and caught Tennessee flat-footed. Single wing over to the left this time. In the tailback is Buster. Buster carrying the ball, Stevens. He's trying to skirt around the left side of the line. He's up to the 25, up to the 30, gets away from another man, the 35, up to the 40, and he's knocked down on the 40, gets back up. He's keeping going to the 45. He's up to the 50-yard line, and he's finally knocked down on the 50. Buster Stevens, the scat back of Tennessee, brings it up to the middle of the field. Tennessee showing that they are not beaten despite the unexpected touchdown, which was scored against them in the first 50 seconds of play. Buster Stevens brings that ball from the 19-yard line down to the Southern California 49-yard line. Comes Tennessee out of the huddle. They're running out, wearing orange jerseys today. Right down behind the center is Billy Beavis this time. Beavis takes the ball, gives it on a spinner to Major. Major to Stevenson. Stevenson knifes his way for a gain of 1 yard. Cuts between right tackle and right guard. John Ferrero, left tackle and All-American tackle, I might add, of Southern California, knocks him down to the ground. A double reverse worked behind the Tennessee line. Gains nothing. Second down coming up, 10 yards to go. The ball is midway between the two sideline stripes. There are 10 minutes and 3 seconds of playing time remaining in the first period. The score is Southern California 6, Tennessee nothing. Tennessee out of the huddle. And this time it is Buster Stevens, quick kicking himself, and he's catching Southern California flat-footed. Back goes Jim Hardy, takes it on the 10, he's back to the 15, up to the 20, and knocked down on the 23. Hardy, quarterback of Southern California, makes a sensational catch. He goes back and takes it over his shoulder, running backwards, sensing that a quick kick is coming. He's knocked down by Bo Stewart, the right tackle, and by Buddy Pike, the right end of the Tennessee Volunteers. And it's now Southern Cal's ball, first and 10, and the Trojans are back on their own 22-yard line, and Tennessee asked for timeout. First time in the ball game with 9 minutes and 30 seconds remaining to be played in the first period. Score is Southern California Trojans 6, Tennessee's Volunteers nothing. Very interesting to note, too, with timeout, how Tennessee got that name of the Volunteers. Back in the Spanish-American War, the United States government asked for 3,000 volunteers from the state of Tennessee. They got 30,000 instead of 3. And Tennessee very proudly adopted the name the Volunteers. That's how this team goes by that nickname. Below, the Tennessee band strikes up, and with timeout, we listen. you away from that band music, and I promise you'll have lots during the afternoon, but I'd like to tell you of a change because it vitally affects the Tennessee defense. Mark Major, their plunging fullback, has been pulled out of the ball game, and in has gone Johnny Manning. There's a good reason for that. Manning is the stronger defensive man. Now, the obvious psychology being used by John Barnhill, the Tennessee coach, is to try and bottle Southern California up deep in its own territory. That's why he's put Manning in to back up the line, to stop Southern California from coming up the field, and to force the Trojans to kick deep in their own territory. All right, we have 9 minutes and 31 seconds remaining in the first period of the football game from the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. The score is Southern California 6, Tennessee nothing. Southern Cal comes out of the huddle very quickly this time. The ball is given to Bobby Morris. He tries to go around the right side of his line, and he gains nothing, absolutely nothing. Bobby Morris takes a quick flip pass from Jim Hardy, the quarterback. Morris gets back to the line of scrimmage as he cuts inside his own right guard. He's knocked down by Russ Doblstein, the left tackle of the Tennessee Volunteers. Tennessee starting very fast on this ball. That line is playing high, but it's coming in very hard. It's charging, not low, but hard. And they're bowling over the Southern California linemen, despite the fact that they're outweighed by 11 pounds per man at the moment. That's only at the moment. Hardy gives the ball to Whitehead. Whitehead to Burnside. Burnside comes from the 21 up to the 24 as he plunges between his own left guard and left tackle for Southern California. Gaining a good 4 yards on the play before Bob Doblstein, the right guard of the Tennessee Volunteers, can stop him. Score is Southern California 6, Tennessee nothing. 8 minutes and 41 seconds remaining to be played in the first period. It's the world-famous Rose Bowl football game from Pasadena, played before a capacity crowd of 94,000 football fans. Jim Hardy back in punt formation, third down, 7 yards to go. He'll kick if he kicks from the 13. He gets it away. It's up in the air. Waiting to take it is Buster Stevens of Tennessee. He takes it on the Volunteers, 35. It's back to the 40, up to the 45, crossing the midfield stripe. He's down to the 40-yard line. He gets away from another tackler and is finally knocked down on the Southern California 37-yard line. This Buster Stevens is giving a sensational performance here. He had wormed his way away from 3 would-be tacklers. Play. Wait for the referee, picks up that ball. Here's a penalty against Tennessee. Against Tennessee for clipping. Tennessee Volunteers are penalized 15 yards for clipping. So Buster Stevens' great run is partially nullified. Clipping penalty sets them all the way back to their own 31-yard line. So instead of having that ball on the Southern California 37, they have it on their own 31. And here's the reason for that. A clipping penalty is walked off from the spot where the penalty occurs, or rather where the infraction of the rules occurs. Apparently, that infraction of the rule occurred on the Tennessee 46-yard line. So they're penalized 15 yards back to their own 31-yard line. So by some gentlemen being over-anxious and clipping, Tennessee has lost. They would have had the ball on the Southern Cal 37. They're now back on their own 31. That's quite a difference. 1st and 10 for the Volunteers on their own 31-yard line. Single wing over to the right. Buster Stevens takes the ball, fumbles it, and then falls back on it. John Ferrero, the left tackle of Southern California, was in there to make a lunge for that ball. A 5-yard loss on that play. Tennessee loses 5 yards when Buster Stevens tries a complete spinner to hand it to John Manning. Manning is not there. Stevens, seeing that something's wrong with the signals, watches the ball sail away from him and then lunges backwards to fall on it and recover his own fumble. So Tennessee now has a second down coming up, 15 yards to go on their own 26-yard line. Southern California leads in this football game. The score is 6-0, and the score occurred when Jim Callanan blocked a punt Tennessee with 50 seconds of the game played and then scooped up his own blocked punt and ran it for a touchdown. On this last play, Bobby Morris of Southern California was slightly injured. Bobby is now laying down on the grass. Trainer has come in, is working on him. He doesn't seem to be seriously hurt. Bobby came to Southern California originally as a track man. He's a very fast lad. He's developed into a fine running back. He comes out of the T formation and works it beautifully. He's fast. He was the leading gainer in the last game against UCLA. And he's starting today, and this is no detraction from the boy's ability because George Callanan, who would regularly start in that place for Southern California, has a bad knee, hurt his knee in the UCLA game. Nevertheless, this Bobby Morris, who is hurt and is at the moment lying down on the field, is not only a track star, but a brilliant football player. And he's a member of the Naval ROTC unit stationed at the University of Southern California campus in Los Angeles. Mark Major is coming back in at fullback. Johnny Manning is going out. With 7 minutes and 50 seconds remaining to be played, first period of the game from Pasadena, California. The score is Southern California earned that. Heads up, smart football. Callanan came through and blocked the punt, scooped it up, and ran 25 yards for a touchdown. That's good football anytime you can do it. Somebody should have taken him out, but they didn't. Stevens on the tailback this time. 2nd and 15 for Tennessee on their own 26. Time is back in. Ball goes back to Buster. Fakes to throw a pass, elects to run with the ball, gets up to the 30-yard line, and is knocked down as he gets to the 31. Willard Wall, right guard of Southern California, belts him down to the ground and brings him down with a vicious lunge. Half a body block and half a tackle. Hit him low and spun him around. Buster Stevens, every time he gets that ball, he's a dangerous threat. And the Tennessee rooters, which are located, or who are located, I should say, directly below our NBC booth, rise up just as if somebody said, come on, boys, stand. Here's Buster's got the ball. Every time he gets it, they expect him to get away. Well, he's made two very nice runs, one which was partially nullified by that kicking, or rather clipping penalty. Back into punt formation goes Stevenson, Casey Stevenson, right halfback of Tennessee, standing back on the Vols 20. He boots from the 24, and it's a nice one. Waiting to take it is Jim Hardy. The ball goes back to the Southern California 20-yard line. Hardy picks it up on the 22, gets to the 25, gets away from one tackler, comes to the 30, steps on the sideline, keeps going, however, gets to the 35, comes to the 40, and is finally knocked down on the 41-yard line. Referee says, however, he went out of bounds on the Southern Cal 31. So it'll be Trojans' ball, 1st and 10 on their own 31, when Tennessee is unable to gain. After trying to make the 10 yards necessary to pick up a first down, the Volunteers of Tennessee actually gain nothing. They are penalized, or rather a fumble cost them 5 yards. They pick that back up and then boot on a 3rd down. Tennessee's playing a very cautious game so far. They're taking no chances. Southern California on this last exchange of punts has picked up 9 yards. Here comes Southern Cal back to the line of scrimmage. There are 6 minutes remaining to be played. 6 minutes and 50 seconds in the first period. Scores, the Trojans 6, the Volunteers nothing. Ball goes back to Whitehead. Whitehead gives it back to Hardy. Hardy throws a long pass, and it's not good. It is not good. Intended for Burnside. Almost intercepted by Mark Major. Major tries to make a shoe-sting stab at that. It had been batted down by Billy Beavis. Major tried to get under the ball. He hit it, trapped it just as it hit the ground, and instead of being ruled an intercepted forward pass, it's ruled an incomplete pass, with Hardy throwing and Burnside trying to make a catch for it. He never had a chance. It was belted down. Southern Cal's ball on their own 31-yard line. 15 yards in from the western side of the playing field. Southern Cal leads 6-0. We're a little better than halfway through the first period from the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. The score is 6-0 in favor of Southern Cal. Headley in motion this time. Here is Mr. Hardy back to throw another pass. He completes it to his brother, Don Hardy. Hardy takes it on the 33-yard line, but the referee rules he was out of bounds when he caught it, which means it's an incomplete forward pass. Actually, it would have netted a gain of 2 yards, but it was caught just over the sidelines, so it's ruled incomplete. Jim Hardy throwing, Don Hardy catching. That's quarterback to left end. The Hardy brothers. 3 sets of brothers in this game today, or rather could play in the game. Jim and George Callanan, although it's doubtful whether Georgie will get in. For Southern California, the Hardy brothers, and for Tennessee, the Dobelstein brothers, both playing, incidentally, in the line. Back into punt formation goes Mr. Hardy, standing back on the Southern Cal 19. He boots it up in the air, waiting to take it is Buster Stevens. Ball comes over to the sidelines. They're kicking it way away from Buster today. They don't want him to run that back. Ball went out of bounds somewhere in the neighborhood of the 50-yard line, which means that Tennessee picked up 21 yards on that exchange of punts. Tennessee gets the ball on their own 49-yard line. We have 6 minutes and 40 seconds of playing time remaining. The National Broadcasting Company, by contractual arrangement with the Tournament of Roses Committee in Pasadena, California, exclusively sending this game across the nation, and in cooperation with the Armed Forces Radio Service, sending this game literally around the world to the fighting fronts wherever they might be. Time is out. The score is 6-0. Southern Cal leads Tennessee. We're better than halfway through the first period. The Tennessee band strikes up. Let's give it a listen. We'll be back in just a moment. Again, this is Bill Stern speaking from Pasadena, California, sending across this nation and literally around the world this all-important Rose Bowl game, which features 2 unbeaten teams. Southern California, a top-heavy favorite in this game, leading at the moment 6-0. Joe Steffi has come in at left guard. E.J. Asbury has gone out. That's a change in the Tennessee line. Tennessee's ball, 1st and 10 on the Volunteers' 49-yard line. In the tailback is Buster Stevens. Mark Majors in the fullback spot. Ball goes back to Stevens. Stevens to Major. Major to Stevenson. 3 men carrying it, trying to circle his left hand. He's being trapped behind the line of scrimmage and is knocked down as he gets back to the 47-yard line for a loss of 2 yards on the play. Blake Headley, the right halfback of Southern California, refuses to let that play get outside of him, finally drives it in, spills the interference, and makes the tackle. Pedosis has come in at right tackle. Stewart has gone out. That is another change for Tennessee. Tennessee now has a second down coming up. A good 13 yards to go. Call it between 12 and 13. There's 6 minutes of playing time remaining in the first period. Southern Cal is leading 6-0 thanks to a block kick, which was converted into a touchdown by Jim Callanan, the Southern Cal excellent right end. Stevens in the tailback this time. Major in the fullback spot. Ball goes back to Stevens. He fades back to throw a pass, chucks it. It's completed to the 50-yard line. Wildman takes it on the 50s, down to the 45, down to the 40, keeps going down to the 30, down to the 25, and he's down to the 20-yard line. Charlie Wildman, left end of Tennessee, runs it down to the Southern California 20-yard line. Tennessee. Oh, the play is being called back. Listen to this crowd. They don't like that. Tennessee offside on the play. That's the second long gain of the afternoon in this first period, which has been completely nullified by a penalty. Stevenson ran a kick way up the field, down to the Southern Cal 37. That was nullified by a clipping penalty, and now this long gain, which carried the Tennessee Volunteers deep down into Southern California territory, down to the Trojans 20, is nullified, and Tennessee is socked with a 5-yard offside penalty. Just let me say one thing for the referees. They call them the way they see them. They've got no axe to grind for either side. Buster Stevens in the tailback this time. Ball goes back to Buster. He's stating back to throw a forward pass. Can't get rid of the ball. Now he finally throws a long one down the field. It's not good. Intended for Wildman. Wildman goes high into the air, but it isn't good. Tennessee, the team that only threw 15 passes all season long, the team which was not supposed to have any passing attack at all, has suddenly electrified this huge Rose Bowl crowd with a very smart passing attack. One which shook their own left end for a gain of some 31 yards is nullified by an offside penalty. And here Mr. Buster Stevens tries to throw another one to the same man who caught the preceding pass, Mr. Charlie Wildman. Wildman goes high in the air, but not high enough. Goes for an incomplete pass. It'll bring up the third down and leave still 15 yards to be gained by Tennessee, who have the ball on their own 41-yard line. Now slightly injured in this play for Southern California, and that's why time is out at the moment, is Don Burnside, who's an 18-year-old civilian. He's due to be drafted in only a few days after the Rose Bowl game. He starred in several games. He has a bad ankle, which has been partially recovered, and I believe that's what was hurt on this last play. He's very fast. He plays right half generally, but he can switch over and play the left halfback position. The trainer is working on him. He's lying down on the field now. Looks like he had the wind, and he's rubbing his ankle. Also, it could have been an ankle injury. Across the band, the mighty Trojan band, or rather across the field, the mighty Trojan band strikes up, and with a rooting section some 8,000 strong, stretching from the bottom of the stadium up to the top. Let's get across there and pick up that band music. Back at the NBC booth, the Rose Bowl at Pasadena, here's some changes. Alan Laws come in at right halfback, replacing Casey Stevenson for Tennessee, and Ben Miller's in at center, replacing Russ Morrow. There's a switch at left halfback for Southern California. Schlegler has come in. Laws in the tailback this time. The ball goes back to Buster Stevens. Stevens is trying to get in the center of the line. He goes between his own left guard and center. He gets to the 45, crosses the 45, gets to the 46. He's knocked down by Will Wall, the right guard of Southern California. After he had gained on that play, well, let's credit him with from the 41 up to the 46-yard line. He picked up 5 yards, but it still leaves a lot of yardage left to be picked up, and here comes a fourth down for Tennessee. There are 5 minutes and 10 seconds remaining to be played in the first period, and now Buster Stevens must go back into a punt formation. He'll be kicking from the Volunteers' 35-yard line. Hardy is back in safety position for Southern California. Stevens takes a step forward. He boots it. Going across the field to take it is Hardy. Hardy has to catch it out of bounds. It goes out of bounds on the Southern California 17-yard line. Very nice kick by Buster Stevens, who booted the only bad kick of the day when Mr. Callanan got in to block it. Took 3 steps forward in getting that one away instead of his customary 2, and that last step proved to be the undoing of the Volunteers. The kick was blocked. Callanan scooped it up, raced. You can do that with a block kick. You can't with a fumble. It was a block kick. He ran it 25 yards into the end zone. The Trojans had scored, and the Tennessee Volunteers were behind. They've been behind ever since. 4 minutes and 59 seconds remaining to be played in the first period. Southern Cal has the ball on their own 17-yard line. Burnside is back in. Schlegel is out. That's a switch at left halfback for Southern California. Trojans have the ball on their own 17. Hardy gives the ball this time to Headley. Headley into the center of the line, and he gains nothing. Miller, Dobelstein, and Mark Major are all in. Those are the three men backing up the Tennessee line, and they come through there like a thunderer. Pin him down. Stevenson has come back in at right halfback. Alan Law's gone out for the Tennessee Volunteers. 4 minutes and 40 seconds remaining to be played in the first period. Southern California leads 6-0. The Pasadena Rose Bowl, and it's jam-packed. You couldn't get another person in here. What's more, for the last week, you haven't been able to buy, borrow, or beg a ticket. T formation for Southern Cal. Ball is given this time to Headley. Headley trying to come around the left side of his line. He's hit down on the 17-yard line, gaining nothing. Charlie Wildman, the left end of Tennessee, comes in. Tennessee's line, as I said earlier in this day, despite the fact that they're outweighed, is outcharging the Southern California line at the moment. But look out, you Trojan rooters. Your team is out in front by 6 points, and you got a terrific backfield behind that line, let alone you got a good line, which is one of these moments going to find itself and start knocking these Tennessee boys down, because the Tennessee boys are the smaller, and they're coming in high. But up to the moment, that hasn't happened. Hardy back in front formation. He's standing back on his own 3. He's going to boot from the 3. Kicks it way up in the air. It's a high one. Buster Stevens is waiting for it back on the Tennessee 40. Takes it on his own 39. Goes across the field. Gets away from one man but can't get away from another. He's hit down on the Tennessee 42 by Jim Callanan, the right end of Southern California. There are scores of other bowl games today. In the Sugar Bowl, Alabama and Duke. Duke, in a magnificent game, defeated Alabama 29-26. Tulsa beat Georgia Tech in the Orange Bowl 26-12. The Oklahoma Aggies. Well, wait till we get a complete score on that ball game before we finally give it to you. Oklahoma Aggies are out in front 34-0, but the game apparently is not quite over at the moment. Buster Stevens, left halfback and the tailback, a single wing over to the right for Tennessee. Stevens takes the ball, takes one step backward, looks for a man to throw a pass to. He throws it out, intended for Wildman, goes over Charlie's head. Wildman can't get high enough in the air. Buster Stevens throwing from his own 39-yard line. Ball is resting on the Tennessee 42-yard line. There are 3 minutes remaining to be played in the first period of the football game from Pasadena. Ball is resting down on the Tennessee 42-yard line. Tennessee's ball. Southern California playing a 7-man line at the moment, dropping the 7th man out. 3 men backing it up when they do. Roving center, fullback, and the right halfback. And 2 wingbacks deep about 10 yards behind that. Buster Stevens in the tailback of a single wing over to the right this time. Quarterback Billy Beavis calling the plays for Tennessee. Tennessee ready to go. Ball goes back to Stevens. He's standing back to tuck a forward pass. Elects to run with the ball, and he's hit back on his own 35. Callanan gets him. Whoever's supposed to be taking that right end to Southern California has been missing him all afternoon. Callanan is the boy who came through there to block the kick and score the touchdown for Southern California. And he just got through there and nailed Buster Stevens before Stevens could take a step forward. Third down, 17 yards to go. Tennessee's ball on their own 35-yard line. 2 minutes and 40 seconds remaining in the first period. Score, Southern California 6, Tennessee nothing. Casey Stevenson, right halfback of the Tennessee Volunteers, standing back in punt formation on Tennessee's 24-yard line. He's going to kick. He does. It's not a particularly good kick. Coming up the field, Burnside waits to take it. Takes it on the Southern California 30. Gets away from one man. He's running parallel with the line of scrimmage. He's up to the 35. Gets away from another man up to the 40, to the 45, and he's knocked down on the 45-yard line. He rolls all the way up to the middle of the field. Let's see the referee where he's going to put that one down. He calls it on the 49-yard line, on the Tennessee 49-yard line, with Don Burnside coming up the field. And now Southern California's detected clipping. And detected clipping back on their own 32-yard line. Whoa, here comes a 15-yard penalty against Southern California's Trojans, and it's being paced off from the Southern Cal 15-yard line, or rather from the 32-yard line. It takes them back from their 16 to the 16-yard line. Well, that's a dose of what Tennessee had. Tennessee drove deep down into Southern California territory, only to have the play nullified by a clipping penalty, and now Southern California on a magnificent run back by Hardy. Run the ball into Tennessee territory, only to be detected clipping on the Southern California 31-yard line, and the 15-yard penalty takes them back to their own 16. Actually, it's a 17. Here's the final in that Cotton Bowl game. It is Oklahoma Aggies 34, Texas Christian nothing. It's going down, 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 and goes down to the 5-yard line and rolls out of bounds on the 5-yard line. A magnificent kick. Tennessee boots it down and out of bounds on the Southern California 5-yard line, and I think that should end the first period. It'll be Southern California's ball. First and 10 from their own 5-yard line, and there is the end of the first period with the Trojans of Southern California out in front 6-0. Well, as the teams change goal lines and come up the field with Southern California, which was defending the southern goal, now in defense of the northern goal, may I mention our Merchant Marine, and I do it for a very definite reason. The Merchant Marine needs men. Somehow the impression has gained favor in this country that the Merchant Marine only needs men in times of war, and that once this war is over, our Merchant Marine will dwindle, and that these men will not have a full-time job. That is completely erroneous. The men who are being employed now in the Merchant Marine have a full-time job ahead of them long after this war is over. You and I know that this war is far from being over. So if you're able-bodied, if you want to go to sea, if you will go to sea, get in touch with the nearest branch of the United States Merchant Marine. Believe me, they can use you. Southern California's ball back in their own 5-yard line. We're beginning the second period of the Rose Bowl game from Pasadena, California. And I might like to mention, in fact I would, that of all the courteous treatment we have ever received, this is a personal note, I hope you'll excuse it, but I'd like to give it tribute where credit is due. Of all the courteous treatment we have ever received at any football game, the Tournament of Roses officials here in Pasadena go out of their way to make things pleasant. They have what is the leading bowl game, and believe me, they do everything possible to ensure a good broadcast. The booth is ideal. Team lineup, statistics, everything that an announcer might need is placed at his disposal. So if there are any errors, blame it on me. Southern California's ball on their own 5-yard line. We're starting the second period of the game. Hardy gives the ball this time to Burnside. Burnside crosses the 5, gets to the 6, and he's knocked down by Buddy Pike right into Tennessee. You know, believe it or not, I hate to say that, Mr. Ripley, although I'm sure you don't mind, neither team made a first down in the first period, despite the fact that Southern California scored a touchdown. Southern Cal has the ball now on their own 6-yard line. Southern Cal is leading 16-0. It'll be second down, 9 yards to go. The Trojans have the ball back on their own 6-yard line. Tennessee playing a 7-man line. In the meantime, ball is given to Burnside. Burnside coming around the left side of his line. He's back to the 10, the 15, up to the 20, up to the 25. Gets away from another man, keeps going. He's up to the 30, knocked down on the 35-yard line, reaching the 39-yard line before he's knocked down. Don Burnside, the left halfback of Southern California, pulling these Trojans out of a deep hole. And there is the first down of the afternoon, as Mr. Don Burnside, the left halfback of Southern California, runs it from his own 6 up to his own 39 as he cut around the Southern California right end, the Tennessee left end. Ball is resting now on the Southern California 39.5-yard line. Johnny Chadney comes in at right guard. Bob Dobelstein goes out. That's a change for Tennessee. It's the Southern California ball. Their ball on their own 39.5-yard line. They're in the T formation. Hardy calling these signals. Hardy takes the ball. He's fading back. Chuck a forward pass, looking for his receiver. He throws it out on the flat, intended for Burnside. Burnside can't hang on to the ball. Sails just away from his fingers. Incomplete. Score 6-0. Southern California leading Tennessee. May I say, for the benefit of the radio audience, in case you find this a bit monotonous, that we're repeating the score, we say that a great many men and ladies have a habit of tuning in and out of football games. Nothing is more irritating than sitting at home waiting for someone to tell you what the score of the game is. So those who are continual listeners will have to bear the brunt of this for the vast majority which do not stay with the game every moment of the afternoon. Southern California out of the huddle this time. T formation, Whitehead in motion. Ball is flipped back to Headley. Headley trying to skirt the other end. That's the right end. He is knocked down as he gets to the 43-yard line by Buddy Pike and Boo Stewart. Right tackle and right end, respectively, the Tennessee Volunteers. It'll be third down coming up now. A gain of 2 yards on that play. Let's call it 3rd and 8. Southern California's ball on their own 42-yard line. We have 13 minutes and 45 seconds of playing time remaining in the first half of the game. Southern California running out of a T formation. Tennessee running out of a single wing, generally to the right, sometimes to the left. Southern Cal with a balanced line, Tennessee with an unbalanced line. Callanan deployed way out to the right this time. He is the right end of the Trojans. Ball goes back to Burnside. Burnside trying to skirt around the left line. He gets back to the line of scrimmage, and that's all he gets back to. Reaches the 42. Don Burnside, the left halfback of the Southern California Trojans, trying to repeat on the very play. Line backing their defense up to stop this passing attack. Hardy calling the signals out of the T formation. Jim takes the ball himself. He's batting back to throw a pass. Alexter, he's skirting his own left end. He's back to the 40, and he's knocked that up to the Tennessee 39-yard line. Picking up punt play or 4 to 5 yards. There are 9 minutes and 51 seconds remaining to be played in the first half. Tennessee is making a determined stand to stop these Trojans of Southern California. It will be 4 now. Let's call it 6 yards still to go. 4th and 6. A gain of 5 yards on that preceding play. Scoreboard shows 5. Perhaps it is a little bit. Hardy will go back into punt formation unless they elect to gamble. But the Trojans are ahead. There's no reason why they should. They're leading 6-0. Hardy's going to boot from the midfield stripe. He takes a step forward, kicks it. He's kicking for the sidelines. Lets the referee decide where that one went out of bounds. Referee hasn't decided as yet. It went deep down and out of bounds in Tennessee territory. Ref rules that that kick went out of bounds on the 8-yard line. A very nice kick indeed. Very nice out on the Tennessee 8-yard line. And now Tennessee, which has had Southern California in a hole several times this afternoon, comes a few moments by the yard line. Now the Volunteers find themselves with a 1st and 10 on their own 8-yard line. 9 minutes and 50 seconds remaining to be played. And Southern California's line outcharging the Tennessee Volunteers at the moment. Back into punt formation goes Tennessee's Volunteers. Standing back in the punt formation is Buster Stevens. He's standing 5 yards behind his own goal line in the end zone. But Billy Beavis is carrying the play on a quarterback sneak. He carries the ball, gets from the 8 to the 10, picks up 2 yards. He's knocked down by Russ Antles, the from California. 9 comes back at guard for Tennessee, and out goes 6. Tennessee have 9 minutes and 30 seconds remaining to be played in the first half of this football game. Again, back into a punt, switch that. The Volunteers, rolled in numerals. Instead of the ball this time goes to Manning. Manning, the big burly pullback, plunges up to the 15-yard line. He's knocked down on the 15-yard line, and the ball scoots away from him, but I think he lunged forward and fell on his own fumble. From the center of the field, Johnny Manning, the foot carrying the ball, while the referee umpire. He is taking the ball. Southern center. Hardy takes the ball, gives it on a flip pass to Whitehead. Whitehead crosses the 35, gets down to the 32, keeps going, goes to the 26-yard line. He's knocked down by Charlie Wildman. And Southern California driving forward for what's almost a beautiful gain by Deep Whitehead. Right guard and right tackle, and the inherent power that is Southern California's and made them a top-heavy favorite in the game is beginning to become apparent as we go into the second period of Pasadena, which pits unbeaten Tennessee versus unbeaten Southern California. And a man line, they're bringing that 7th man up closer now to stop this Trojan running attack if they can. T formation. Jim Hardy calling the signals. He's right down behind his own center. Takes the ball, hands it this time to Headley. Headley to Schlegel. Schlegel into the center of the line. He reaches the 25 and he's knocked down. Doblstein, Morrow, and Asbury all knock him down. That had been a first down on the preceding play. That gain on this play was a gain of about a half a 1 yard. It'll be 2nd down. Just about still 10 yards to go. Southern California's ball. Hardy calling the offensive signals. Antles calling the defensive signals. Tennessee going back into a 6 men paying in the line, 2 men backing it up, 2 wing backs and a safety man standing back on the Tennessee 3-yard line in case they throw a pass and throw a deep one. Hardy again calling these signals. Hardy gives the ball to Whitehead. Whitehead into the center of the line. He goes down to the 23-yard line, and he's knocked down on the 23 by Buddy Pike. Pike brings him down, hits him low, spins him in the air, and they both drop to the ground together. A nice tackle right around the ankles. Spun him in midair. It will be now 3rd down coming up. Let's call it a gain of 3 yards on that play. All better than that. 4.5 yards on the play. It'll be 3rd down coming up. I'll call that. Hardy calling these signals for Southern Cal. Trojans wearing white jerseys. Those are not their official colors. Their colors are cardinal and gold, but they're wearing white jerseys this afternoon because also among the golden-hued jerseys are those of the Tennessee Volunteers. Here's Hardy carrying the ball himself on an end run. He's fading back to throw a long pass. He throws it down in the end zone, and it's caught in the end zone. Headley catches it for a touchdown for Southern California. now on the 3-yard line. Second down, 10 sting. We have 5 minutes and 30 seconds remaining to be played in the first half of this football game. Rose Bowl in Pasadena, and there are 94,000 people here, jam-packed into this huge bowl, which is set in among, well, beautiful settings you could possibly imagine. Back, single wing over to the left, the pass from center. The ball goes to Major. Major on a complete spinner into the center of the line, and he gains nothing. Buster faking to take the ball, cocked his arm back as though he had it. Southern California defense back. They weren't fooled. Mr. Mark Major had that ball. He plowed his way into the center of the line and gained nothing. Jim Callanan, the right end of Southern California, who has played a terrific game, came in there and stopped that play, tailed it around and hit the ball carrier as he got back to the line of scrimmage. The line plunge. Brother, he's cooking with gas. Single time, Stevens in the tailback again. Referee steps in and calls time. Let's see why. Well, we're having a meeting of the masterminds now. The 3 officials, 3 of the 4 officials met in the center of the scrimmage line, told the captains what down it was. Now the referee says, all right, come on, let's play football. 4 minutes and 51 seconds remaining. Buster Stevens in the tail to Major. Major into the center of the line. He hit the hole. He gets forward for 1 yard. Bud Curtis, left guard of Southern California. He fumbles as he goes into the center of that line. Russ Antles, the center of Southern California, recovers, and I believe it's going to be the Trojans' ball, 1st and 10 on their own 41-yard line. Mark Major, the fullback of Tennessee, fumbled that ball. When he went into the center of the line, he was hit high. Got away from him, recovered by Southern California's Russ Antles, their center. And it is Trojans' ball, 1st and 10 on the Trojans' 41-yard line. They take over. Tennessee goes on the defense. Hardy back to throw a forward pass. Elects to try to run with the ball. He's tapped behind the line of scrimmage and knocked down on the Southern Cal 35-yard line. Boo Stewart, Bob Doblstein, all come in and hit him back there. There's no gain on the play. As a matter of fact, there's a loss of 5 yards. 4 minutes of playing time remaining in the first period, or rather the ball game from Pasadena, with the Trojans in front 12-0. It'll be second and between 15 and 16. Just Charlie Wildman is coming back in right end. Buddy Pike is going up. Here comes Southern California out of across the field. A huge California rooting section. Let's go with a cheer. Back of a double wing-back formation. That's the first time they pulled that. Hardy back to throw a pass. He throws it through the center, and it's completed across the midfield stripe. It's completed to Burnside. Burnside laterals the ball, intending it for Headley. Headley can't get it. McGinn picks lateral. It's anybody's ball. It can be run. McGinn, the right guard, picks it up and run 35-yard line. That play up. Jim Hardy back of Southern forward pass to Don Burnside. Tries a lateral to Whitehead. Whitehead doesn't get the lateral. It goes away from him. The minute he did that, that's a free ball. And the right guard of Southern Cal picked on and advanced it another 7 yards. So it finally wound up down 35-yard line. It's the 1st and 10. There are 2 minutes remaining. 2 minutes and 51 seconds remaining in this. Jim Hardy, another pass. He intended this time Johnson. Tennessee playing their defense. Hardy's going to pitch this ball around. Going at this is Blake Headley. He's the right halfback who took 1 pass for a touchdown. Out with him is Fran Johnson, the left end. It's Hardy back to throw a pass. He throws it out. It's caught down on the 35. Caught by Mr. Headley. Headley takes it on the 35, which is actually the line of scrimmage, advances 1 step forward, and then, for apparent reason, trips. His feet go out from under him, and he falls flat on his face. No one was near him. He quits before Casey's Tennessee volunteer completed forward 2 yards on that play. Gain of about actually. Time remaining in the picture, leading by 2. Back a double wing back. Warner's days. A lateral pass thrown to Burnside. Burnside takes it on the line of scrimmage. The ball gets away from him. Hardy picks it up. He's the man who originated the pass. Hardy gets back to the line of scrimmage, and that's all he gets back to. Oh, we've had some freak plays. Hardy throwing a lateral to Burnside. Burnside taking forward, letting it squirt away from him before it can hit the ground. Hardy picks it, takes it right, traps it at his shoe top, tries to advance with it, and is hit just as about as he gets back to the line of scrimmage. As a matter of fact, he may have lost 1 yard on the play. 4th down, 9 yards to go. Southern California's ball. 2 minutes of playing time remaining in the first half. Score is Tennessee 0, Southern California 12. Johnny Barnhill on the sidelines now. Asbury comes in at left guard. Rick goes out. Miller is in at center. Morrow goes out. Those are 2 changes for Tennessee. Back in the punt formation goes Hardy. He's standing back on the 49-yard line. Takes a step forward, boots it into the end zone. Waiting back to take it was Buster Stevens. Referee says, let's see whether he says that went out of bounds. He says it went out of bounds on the 5-yard line. A beautiful kick by Jim Hardy, which for all the world from the booth looked like it went into the end zone, but it did not. Went out of bounds on the 10 lines. And the Volunteers take over 1st and 10 on their own 5-yard line. There are a minute. Well, let's call that accurately 1:40. 1 minute and 40 seconds remaining to be played in the first half of this football game. Tennessee is trailing. They have no points. Southern California is leading 12-0. A sun-baked stadium, 1 minute of yards in 1 minute and 40 seconds if they are to score in the first half of this game. Single wing over to the right this time. Buster Stevens in the tailback. He fakes the throw pass from his own goal line, gets back to the line of scrimmage, and is knocked down. 1 minute and 31 seconds remaining to be played in this first half of this football game. Bud Curtis, the left guard of Southern California, was the boy who stopped the ball carrier. It was Buster Stevens faking to throw a pass from his end zone. He did not fool Southern California. Here comes Tennessee back into a punt form. Stevens standing 3 yards from the rear of his end zone. Hardy is standing back in the midfield stripe. It is second down, and he boots from his end zone on a second down with a half almost over. Hardy takes it, gets back to the 35, runs it down to the Tennessee 30, and is knocked out of bounds on the 29-yard line.
Bands now are getting ready to come out on the field. The Tournament of Roses band on one side and the USC band on the other. The USC band was the band you just heard playing. Right now we want to give you a brief recap of the game thus far. USC kicked off to Tennessee. Billy Beavis returned to the Tennessee 35. Tennessee attempted to kick on the third play of the game. The kick was blocked, however, and Jim Callanan scooped up the ball on the Tennessee 25 and raced across the goal for the first Trojan score. SC missed the try for point. Score was 6-0, SC. SC kicked off again, then after an exchange of punts, Buster Stevens on his own 10-yard line, behind excellent blocking, took the ball on a brilliant run around his left end to the 50-yard line. A brilliant 40-yard run by Buster Stevens. Then followed a short punting duel between Tennessee and SC, with Tennessee gaining the advantage in yardage. 2 of Tennessee's long gains in the first period were nullified by penalties which were very costly. One of SC's long runs in the first quarter was also nullified because of a clipping penalty. Late in the first period, the Trojans attempted a quick kick on their own 15-yard line. They couldn't get it away, the ball was fumbled, and SC was put in a bad hole and was forced to kick from their own goal line. Then, after an exchange of punts throughout the remainder of the first period, we found both teams tightening up and not able to gain. And just as the first quarter ended, Tennessee punted out of bounds on the SC 5-yard line. But on the first play of the second quarter, Don Burnside took the ball from his own goal line, skirted his own right end, picking up 35 yards, going to the SC 40. SC was then forced to kick, and Tennessee took over on their own 21. On the first play, carried to the 35. Then an exciting pass by Stevens, which was barely missed. Tennessee was then forced to kick, a bad kick to SC's 35. In the next series of downs, SC was forced to kick from midfield, and Tennessee took over on their own 8-yard line. But Tennessee kicked again, and SC took possession after a bad kick on the Tennessee 36. Whitehead made it a first down on the Tennessee 26. Then came another thrill of the ball game. Jim Hardy, faking an end run, threw a long pass, which was taken by Headley in the end zone for the second Trojan touchdown. SC missed the extra point, and the score was SC 12, Tennessee nothing. SC kicked off to Tennessee on the second play, and Stevens carried to the SC 44. An attempted Tennessee pass was no good. Then a Tennessee fumble, and SC took over once more. A pass by Hardy, then carried to SC to the Tennessee 35. And with only 1 minute to play, SC kicked out of bounds on the Tennessee 5. Then, after an exchange again, Tennessee was forced to kick to SC. Burnside took a pass from Jim Hardy just before the half ended, which carried SC to the Tennessee 8. A couple of more passes were attempted, but no good, and that's where the ball game ended at halftime. The score was SC 12 and Tennessee nothing at halftime, and that's where we are right now, ladies and gentlemen. Well, right at this period, ladies and gentlemen, amid all the color here at the ball at halftime, in one of our boxes directly in front of us are some very distinguished guests, and we want you to meet them this afternoon. So right now, we're going to switch you down to Frank Barton.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have many distinguished guests in attendance at the Rose Bowl today on this beautiful New Year's Day. And first of all, may I introduce the president of the Tournament of Roses Association, Mr. Max Turner.
Thank you kindly. On behalf of the Pasadena Tournament of Roses Association, I wish to express to our friends everywhere hearty greetings and sincere expressions of goodwill. This is the 56th occasion when Pasadena has sent a New Year's greeting to the world. It is my extreme pleasure to present our honored guest on this New Year's Day, a great American and world statesman, the 30th President of the United States, the Honorable Herbert Hoover.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back up in our broadcasting booth. We have several men up here we'd like to have you meet this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, several coaches of various schools around here, and also Rube Samuelson, who just walked into our booth. He's sports editor of the Pasadena Star-News and Post. He's here to give us a slant on today's game. Rube Samuelson.
Thank you very much, Joyce Storm. Yes, I am, and I brought with me a very distinguished coach from the South, none other than Bernie Moore of Louisiana State. Bernie, a quick question, if you please. Your Bayou Tigers played both Tennessee, and I mean all three, Tennessee, Georgia Tech, and Alabama. How do you rate the three of them?
Yes, we played all three of them, and we rated Tennessee to be the better ball club. They played good ball all through the season, and we thought they played better ball against us than any other club we met.
Well, Bernie, how are they playing today? Are they playing up to their 1944 par?
Just about, except one thing. They seem to be a little bit rattled at the first of the ball game and didn't get off as well as I thought they would, but they're playing fairly good ball out there.
And how are the Trojans impressing you?
Well, the Trojans got a very powerful ball team with a big, heavy line that's charging hard and a lot of fast backs and apparently a very fine passing attack.
Well, Bernie, how do you think this ball game will go the rest of the way?
How do you think it'll go the rest of the way?
Well, I asked you first. Shoot.
Well, it looks like that it should go to Southern Cal the rest of the way since they're leading 12-0, but I still think that this Tennessee has got a lot of football left in them, and they might surprise somebody this second half.
We have another man right here now we want you to meet. Major Paul Schisler, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure you've heard him a number of times and have seen his teams in action. Some of you have. He's head coach at Marchfield, the famous Marchfield Flyers. Formerly was coach at Oregon State and has had a great season at Marchfield. Major Paul Schisler, we're glad to have you here. We'd like to have a reaction from you on the game today.
Thank you very much. I think this is one of the finest games, considering the score is 12-0, that I've seen in the bowl. It seems to me that that first quarter could very easily have been in favor of Tennessee. The Trojans can thank their great line and Jim Hardy, their punter, for the fine showing that they've made. I think, however, that this Trojan line is going to wear this Tennessee line down, and I look for the last half for that wearing down process to become more apparent.
I see. Well, Major Schisler, how do you think this game here today stacks up with some of the games you've been playing in this year, your boys?
Well, of course, these fellas look more like younger fellas to me. We have more old fellas, you see, older college men, college graduates, professionals and others, but it is a fine game and a great and interesting game, and the spectacle is wonderful. It's always wonderful to see.
Thank you very much, Major Paul Schisler. Major Paul Schisler, head coach of the Marchfield Flyers. Also with us here, ladies and gentlemen, is Lieutenant Colonel Dick Hanley. He's coach of the El Toro Marines, in charge of Marine combat conditioning, former head coach at Northwestern. As a matter of fact, he played in the Rose Bowl as right halfback with Washington State back in 1916. Check me if I'm wrong on that, will you?
That's right. It's a much different ball game.
All right, and he also came within 2 yards of scoring the first touchdown in the bowl. I believe I'm right on that, too.
Well, my memory doesn't serve me quite that way.
Well, Colonel Hanley, what do you think of the game today? How does it stack up in your opinion?
Well, Tennessee looks like a fine, big freshman team in pre-war days. I mean, their banks are making mistakes on pass defense that normally you would expect a sophomore team to make.
I see. What about Tennessee's opportunity in the second half?
Well, Tennessee, had they held two forward passes, might have scored in the first half. But I think the Trojans are gaining momentum. Their line is pounding this Tennessee team down, and I think they'll take the toll as the game goes on.
Thank you very much, Lieutenant Colonel Dick Hanley. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's switch down to the field here. There's a ceremony going on down there. We want you to pick up a little bit of the music. Let's listen in. We just saw the large SC in the stands there by the Trojan Rooters. Now the SC band is making another formation on the field, and we'll have another one of the card stunts for you in just a moment. We'll tell you about it. We want you to hear the music, however. Let's listen.
On these friendly fields of strife are sown the seeds, which in other days on other fields will someday bring us victory. Today, as the 2,000 cards of Trojan Rooters throw up a huge blue flag and the tournament band plays songs of all branches of the service, we pause to pay tribute to those men of collegiate football who once strove in friendship on this Tournament of Roses field and who, in making the supreme sacrifice on other fields, are bringing us victory. Now, as the cards of the blue service flag turn to gold, let us pause as our 8 trumpeters step up between the 2 long files of bandsmen to render taps in memory of those Rose Bowl players who have fallen in battle doing their part in this victory.
We just had a salute, ladies and gentlemen, across the field with the cards reading a salute to General Neyland, former coach of Tennessee. Now the huge service star, bordered by red with a white background.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is a tradition in the Rose Bowl at the end of halftime for the audience to sing Auld Lang Syne. Today, with both the Trojan and tournament band playing, let every voice be raised, and we will dedicate Auld Lang Syne to the living heroes of the Rose Bowl and to servicemen everywhere.
Ladies and gentlemen, in this history of the Rose Bowl told in music by Audrey Strong and the Tournament of Roses band and the SC band on the field together. Let's listen.
Official Tournament of Roses band and the entire 93,000 will join in singing Auld Lang Syne. And now, as a 2,000-card Star-Spangled Banner waves in the afternoon sun, Director Strong will lead our 94,000 voices in Should Old Acquaintance Be Forgot and Never Brought to Mind, Should Old Acquaintance Be Forgot for the sake of Auld Lang Syne. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That was very inspiring. I might mention that the University of Southern California card tricks were directed by Bob Thompson, head Yell King.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've just been witnessing this tribute here on the field, this colorful Rose Bowl. Now the Tournament of Roses band is marching off the field, and the USC band is coming to the center of the field. And across in the USC rooting section, we have a big, huge face of Hitler on a white background. The SC band is now going to form a formation out here in the middle of the field. We'll have to wait and see just exactly what they're going to do. These card stumps are very colorful, and Bob Thompson has really done a grand job with them. Now a picture across there, done up in cards, a picture of a Jap on a white background. And all of these people are really getting a big kick out of these card attractions here this afternoon by the SC rooting section. The Tournament of Roses band is now filing back into the stand. The game is just about to get underway, ladies and gentlemen. And here is Bill Stern.
Thank you very much, Joy. All right, we're all set to go in the second half of the Rose Bowl game from Pasadena, California. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the Southern California starting lineup for that second half. I'll give you the backfield first because we haven't got much time. Hardy's back in at quarterback. Whitehead will start again at fullback. At right halfback will be Burnside, and Bobby Morris will be in at left halfback. I'll give you the Tennessee backs, too. Then we'll get the line straightened up in just a moment. Billy Beavis is in at quarterback. Casey Stevenson at right half. Stevens at left half, and Mark Major at full. There goes the kick. And it's going back into the Southern California end zone. Ball goes back and out of the Southern California end zone, goes back into the rear, rolls into the crowd, is picked up back there by Don Hardy, the left end of the Trojans, who runs back, picks it up. It will automatically be scored as a touchback. It'll be Southern California's ball, 1st and 10. They'll take over on their own 20-yard line. Alan Law is in at right halfback, replacing Casey Stevenson for Tennessee. Here's the Tennessee line. Charlie Wildman at right end, Bo Stewart at right tackle, Bob Dovelstein at right guard, Russ Morrow at center, Asbury at left guard, Russ Dovelstein at left tackle, and Buddy Pike at left end. I've already given you the backfield. Southern California has the ball 1st and 10 on their own 20-yard line. They lead 12-0. Burnside carrying the ball this time. He gives it to Headley. Headley's trying to skirt around the left side of his line, knifes inside his own left tackle and left guard, gets to the 25, crosses the 25, reaches the 26. He's knocked down by Asbury and Dovelstein. Gain of 6 yards on that play. Buddy Pike, the left end of the Tennessee Volunteers, made the tackle. In the Trojan rooting section, some 8,000 strong across the field, stretching from the bottom of the Rose Bowl clear up to the top and occupying one full section. A big American flag is hoisted, made up of these multicolored cards. It waves in the breeze, and you'd think the flag was waving. In the meantime, Whitehead gives it to Burnside. Burnside up to the 30, crosses the 30, gets to the 34-yard line on sheer power. 2 men running ahead of him. He goes right through the center of the line. Don Burnside, the right halfback of the Southern California Trojans, and he picks up a first down for Southern California. Incidentally, officially in the first half, Southern Cal made 11 first downs. Tennessee Volunteers made 7. Morrow and Major, 2 men backing up the Tennessee line, stopped the play. 1st and 10 for Southern California on their own 35-yard line, 15 yards in from the eastern side of the field. Southern Cal is leading 12-0. Headley in motion this time. The ball is flipped back to Whitehead. Whitehead tries to skirt his own left side of the line. He reaches the 40-yard line, keeps going, gets to the 44 for a 9-yard gain, and he's knocked down by Billy Beavis. And Southern California is beginning to move majestically up the field. In 4 running plays, they've started on their own 20, and they've come 24 yards up the field until they've reached their own 44-yard line. Billy Beavis made the tackle that time. He's the captain and quarterback of the Tennessee Volunteers, and he had to come in and make a low tackle. The boy was really vaulting over the grass and coming in very nicely. Southern California leading. We have started the second half of the football game from Pasadena. And a cloudless blue sky up overhead and the sun just beaming down, and the score is 12-0. Southern California leading by a score of 12-0 as we have just started the second half of the football game. 13 minutes and 3 seconds remaining to be played in this third period. Incidentally, Billy Beavis was slightly injured on that play. He's back up on his feet, however. Trainer, 2 other gentlemen from Tennessee are down. Russ Morrow's also hurt. Asbury was slightly injured on the play. Several boys had the wind knocked out of them on that particular play. In particular, I might add, Billy Beavis, quarterback, is coming over to the sidelines. He is not going to stay into the game. He's one of the very few experienced men on the squad. He's a junior from Marianna, Florida. Trots over to the sidelines, then talks to Johnny Barnhill, the coach, and says, John, I want to stay back in the ball game, and he goes back in. Charlie Wildman, the right end, also slightly injured on the play. Burnside in motion this time. The ball goes back to Hardy. Hardy to Whitehead. Whitehead into the center of the line. He goes from the 44 up to the 40, let's call it the 7-yard line. He's knocked down on the Southern Cal 47-yard line as time is resumed. It will be now. Well, that's a first down. It was 2nd and 1 to go, and he picked up 4 yards. So the ball is resting on the Southern California 49-yard line is where the ref puts it down. And the Trojans, starting on their own 20, have advanced it almost 30 yards, 29 yards to be exact. They have a first down on their own 49-yard line. They, being Southern California, are leading 12-0. in the Rose Bowl. Hardy back to throw a forward pass. He cocks his arm back, goes way, way back, tosses a lateral out in a flat, caught by Blake Headley. Headley is trapped behind the line of scrimmage on his own 43. A lateral thrown by Hardy, who was 15 yards behind the line of scrimmage, is caught by Blake Headley, the left halfback. He takes it on the 39-yard line, gets back to roughly the 44-yard line. Since the play originated on the 49-yard line, there's a loss of 5 yards on that play. 12 minutes of playing time remaining in the third period of the football game, with the Trojans of Southern California leading Tennessee's Volunteers 12-0. Here comes Southern California out of the huddle. It is second down, 16 yards to go. Trojans ball, running out of a T formation. Hardy calling these signals. Jimmy takes this ball himself, gives it to Burnside. Burnside cuts between his own center and right guard. He's driving low with a terrific surge forward. He goes from the 44 up to roughly the 48-yard line, picking back 4 of the 5 yards which have been lost on the preceding play. That'll bring up the third down and leave still 11 yards to gain. Billy Beavis making the tackle. Billy, who's played an all-around great game this afternoon. Blessing is in at right end. Wildman comes out for Tennessee. Southern California out of the huddle. Stevenson is in at right halfback. Alan Law goes out. That's another change for Tennessee. Man in motion is Headley. He's the boy who caught 1 touchdown pass this afternoon. A flip pass to Whitehead. Deep Whitehead into the center of the line. He crosses the midfield stripe, gets down into Tennessee territory, is stopped on the Tennessee 48-yard line by Russ Morrow, defensive center of Tennessee, playing a roving center, coming into the center of the line and stopping that play after it picked up about 3.5 to 4 yards. It'll be fourth down coming up, 7 yards to go. Southern California's ball on the Tennessee 48-yard line. 10 minutes of playing time remaining in the third period, and the Trojans of Southern California are leading 2 touchdowns to none. 12-0. Hardy back in punt formation. He's standing back in kick formation on the Southern Cal 40-yard line. A low pass from center. He stoops and takes it. He kicks high in the air. The kick is partially blocked, but not completely. It is deflected by Bob Dovelstein. It comes up the field to the Tennessee 35-yard line, then starts bounding back towards its kicker. It comes to the Tennessee 37, where it's touched down by Bud Curtis, the left guard of Southern California. And it is Tennessee's ball. 1st and 10 on their own 37-yard line. Volunteers back into a huddle now. About 17 yards in from the eastern side of the playing field. Tennessee's Volunteers wearing orange jerseys. Their traditional colors are orange and white. Fouls come out of the huddle. Quarterback Billy Beavis is right down behind the center. Single wing over the left. Billy takes the ball this time. Jevil passes it back to Stevens. Stevens trying to skirt around his right end. Gets back to the line of scrimmage. May have picked up 2 yards. He's knocked down by Blake Headley, the right halfback of Southern California. But what was perfectly obvious to anyone who saw the first half of this football game was that Mr. Buster Stevens and the Tennessee team should have tried that particular play a little bit more frequently in the beginning of the game when they were gaining with it. And apparently, Mr. Johnny Barnhill told the team at halftime, for heaven's sake, start using it. Every time we have used it, we've picked up 7 yards. Well, also, Mr. Jeff Cravath of Southern California must have said, look out, it's going to come in this second half because it's coming right now. Stevens again in the tailback this time. Billy Beavis gives the ball back to him. It's Stevens on the same play again. He's back to the line of scrimmage, picks up 1 yard. John Ferrero, the left tackle of Southern California, brings him down. So probably both coaches advised the team to use that play. Barnhill for Tennessee, because every time Tennessee used it in the first half, it gained consistently. And Southern California's Jeff Cravath certainly knows enough about football to know that Barnhill would go in and say to his team, use it. So Mr. Cravath said to Southern Cal, he must have. Look out, it's going to come in the second half. It's been used twice in succession now. It's a play which starts as an end run with Buster Stevens with all his speed, starting to skirt his own right or left end, and then quickly turning back and cutting inside a tackle. It's reminiscent of the Gil Dobie, Cornell power plays of pretty nearly 15 to 20 years ago. Buster Stevens back in punt formation. It's third down, 6 yards to go. The ball goes back to Buster. He's skirting his own right end. He gets up to the 45, crosses the midfield stripe, and falls down into Southern California territory. Buster Stevens, running all the way from the 33-yard line, comes streaking 17 yards up the field, 10 of it before he got back to the line of scrimmage. And then he picked up about 7 yards as he cut just inside his own right end. He's knocked down by Russ Entels, roving center for Southern California, after he runs the ball to the Southern Cal 49.5-yard line. That is a first down for Tennessee, and the first down which they have picked up in this half. Tennessee, which threw a great many passes in the first half of this football game. Actually, they threw 7, completed none. Threw only 15 passes all season long. They completed 5 of those for touchdowns. I might mention one of the most interesting of the halftime card tricks. For the benefit of anyone who has not seen those card tricks, they are truly impressive, with each one of the Southern California rooters being given a multicolored card, and they hold them up on prearranged signals, and the background forms various pictures. But one of the most impressive was a tribute to Bob Nayland. who brought the last Tennessee team out here 5 years ago, which was defeated by Southern California, curiously enough, also by 2 touchdowns. Now, maybe history will repeat today. But this tribute to Bob Nayland was particularly impressive in view of the fact that Bob is somewheres over in the India-Burma-China theater of war. And we heard from Bob just before the broadcast began, saying that he was going to listen this afternoon. Bob, 94,000 people saw those cards go up and remembered you well. You brought a great Tennessee team out here 5 years ago, and today they paid you a beautiful tribute at halftime. And among the coaches, which you also heard at halftime, was perhaps the grand old man of football, a man who's loved by everyone who's ever known anything in the game, Amos Alonzo Stagg, 82 years young. He had a fine College of the Pacific team this year, and he's one of the guests of honors of the Tournament of Roses here in Pasadena. It's the traditional Rose Bowl football game from Pasadena, and the score is 12-0. Holslaw comes in at left halfback, replacing Buster Stevens in the fullback spot for Tennessee, and it's Holslaw back to throw a pass for the Volunteers. He throws a long one intended for Blessing. It goes over Blessing's head, and it's not good. First down, 10 yards to go, and Tennessee tries a pass with Holslaw, Holsclaw, in at left halfback, trying to pass it to Hugh Blessing. And it is not good. Blessing, there is no S on that name. Oscar Edmonds comes in at right tackle, replacing Stewart. Defensive left halfback Don Burnside batted that one down for Southern California. There are 8 minutes and 15 seconds remaining to be played in the third period. The Trojans of Southern California, unbeaten, are leading the unbeaten Tennessee Volunteers by 2 touchdowns in the traditional Rose Bowl Classic, which always winds up the football season. Major into the center of the line. He powers his way between center and left guard. He's stopped by Johnny Perhar, the right tackle of Southern California. There may or may not be a penalty on the play. If there is a penalty, it'll be for an offside. The referee walks in, picks the ball up, cautions both teams on advancing before the ball, but he does not penalize either team. But he asks the captains to step to the center. They do. He gives them his advice, and then they go back into the huddle. It'll be third down coming up, 8 yards to go. Tennessee's ball on the Southern California 47-yard line with the Trojans playing a 6-man line. 1 man backing up that line, 2 wing backs and 2 semi-safety backs. Single wing to the left. Holslaw's on the tailback. Holslaw taking the ball, faking to throw a pass. He's trying to skirt around the left side of his line. He can't get away from 1 man. He gets back to the 48-yard line. He's knocked down by Blake Headley. Whole right side of the Southern California line came in and knocked him down bad. By bad, I should say knocked him down good. They knocked him down with a brilliant tackle. 1 man took him high, 1 man took him low, and they twisted him around like a pretzel. Fourth down, 8 yards to go. Tennessee's ball on the Southern California 47.5-yard line, 15 yards in from the western side of the playing field. Southern California, the magnificent team which has yet to be defeated in this Rose Bowl. This is their 8th time, starting back in 1923, and they have never been beaten in this bowl. Casey Stevenson, the right halfback, is back in punt formation for Tennessee, standing back on the Volunteers' 40-yard line. Burnside and Hardy are back in safety for Southern California. There's the kick. He's angling towards the sideline. Going back to take it is Hardy. Hardy takes it on his own 15. He throws a lateral way across the field to Burnside. Burnside takes it on the 20s, up to the 25, the 30, the 35, the 40, up to the 45, and he's finally knocked down on Southern Cal's 48-yard line. He drops the ball as he comes up to the 48-yard line. Billy Beavis, quarterback of Tennessee, rolls in, falls on that ball. Let's see who's going to get credit for the recovery. Referee rules the whistle blew before the fumble occurred. Therefore, Burnside keeps possession of the ball, and so does Southern California. Here's the play. The kick was down to Jim Hardy, who took it on his own 10, ran to the 15, threw a lateral to Don Burnside, who streaked up the southern side of the playing field, reached the 48, fumbled. Billy Beavis fell on it, but the horn had blown before he fumbled. Therefore, Southern Cal keeps the ball. 1st and 10 on their own 48-yard line. Man in motion is Don Burnside this time. Hardy takes the ball, gives it to Whitehead. Whitehead into the center of the line on a sheer power play. No interference. Picks up 2 yards, reaches the 50-yard line. He's knocked down by Doblestein and Asbury. These 2 lines playing a magnificent battle out here. I know line play is generally uninspiring and doesn't get too much credit. But let's credit these boys because they've been playing a whale of a football game with a temperature pretty close to 75 to 80. Here comes Southern California out of the huddle very quickly. They swing into a single wing over to the right this time. They've used that a couple of times this afternoon. Hardy to Whitehead. Whitehead fading back to chuck a pass. Elects to run with it. Gets back to the line of scrimmage as he tries to cut outside his own right tackle. Very peculiar play. I'll set it back up for you. Hardy flipping it back to Whitehead. Whitehead fading back as though he might pass. Electing to run with the ball. Cutting around the right side. He cut inside a right tackle. Found no hole. Tried to cut outside a right tackle. His own right end, Jim Callanan, knocked him inadvertently to the ground. Callanan had been taken out on the play. He was flat, and he got in the ball carrier's way and upset the Southern California offense. No gain on that play. 3rd down, 7 yards to go. Hardy this time, not behind the center as he generally is, but strung out behind the left side of the line. The ball goes back to Burnside. Burnside fades back to chuck a pass. It is not good, intended for Don Hardy. The left end goes all the way down to the Tennessee 25-yard line, and it's not good. Incoming now is Mr. Buster Stevens, the scatback of the Tennessee Volunteers, who has given this crowd 2 electrifying thrills this afternoon by 2 long runs, one of which was immediately repudiated and called back on a clipping penalty. Ball is now resting on the Tennessee 49-yard line. It is Southern California's ball. The Trojans are leading 12-0. There are 4 minutes and 50 seconds remaining in the third period. It is the world-famous Rose Bowl from Pasadena, being broadcast exclusively by the National Broadcasting Company and in cooperation with the Armed Forces Radio Services around the world. Here is a kick with Mr. Hardy booting it down the field. He is kicking for the sidelines. Referee has got to rule where that one went out of bounds. I'll call it somewhere around the 9. Let's see what he says. Billy Beavis was back there to take it, but he had no chance at it. The ball sailed right towards the sidelines and went out of bounds, and the referee says it was on the 8-yard line. A very, very nice kick. There has been wonderful kicking, with one exception. The one poor kick of the afternoon by Buster Stevens, the left halfback of Tennessee, cost the Volunteers a touchdown. It was blocked, scooped up, and run back for the touchdown by Callanan, the right end of Southern California. That kick was an excellent one, and now Tennessee's Volunteers find themselves with a back to the wall. They have a first down. The ball is theirs on their own 8-yard line. 4 minutes and 45 seconds remaining to be played in the third period of the Rose Bowl football game from Pasadena. Buster Stevens in the tailback. Single wing over to the right this time. Ball goes back to Buster. He's faking to throw a pass. He's trying to skirt around his own left end. He's back to the 5, up to the 10, up to the 15-yard line. Gets away from another man, comes to the 20, and he's finally brought down on the 25-yard line. Buster Stevens, a boy who can really skirt the ends, brings it up to the 25, and he has to be brought down from behind by Paul Saleda, the left end of Southern California, who had to worm his way past 2 would-be interferers who were running the interference for Stevens. He got between the 2 of them and made the tackle, or Mr. Buster Stevens might have been on his way for a long, long run. Little 2-letter word called if. Mr. Saleda made a wonderful tackle. Here comes Tennessee out of the huddle. It's their ball on their own 25-yard line. That pulls them out of a hole. A fumble back on the 8 would have been disastrous. Well, it won't be too good if they make one here. Stevens is in the tailback again. Majors in the bucking back spot. The ball goes to Buster Stevens. They're running him in this half, just as they might have done in the first half. He's back to the line of scrimmage, and he picks up another 5 yards. He gets to the 30, up to the 33-yard line. Blake Headley, the right halfback of Southern California, is the man who tackles him. You can just about imagine what Johnny Barnhill told this Tennessee team at halftime. For heaven's sakes, let Buster carry that ball. He averaged 7 yards per try in the first half of the game. And I imagine that Mr. Jeff Cravath of Southern California said, look out, he's going to do it. Buster's carrying the ball in the second half. That's his 4th time in this half, and he's gained consistently on each time. He brought the ball up to the 33-yard line that time. It will be second down coming up, about 3 yards to go. Down below, the Tennessee band strikes up, and let's give it a listen. Take you away from that band music, ladies and gentlemen, but it's time for our stations to properly identify themselves throughout this nation and for the Armed Forces Radio Service network, which exists literally around this world for our fighting men to tell you why, where, and when they are, too. So we pause for station identification. Back in Pasadena, California, the National Broadcasting Company sending across this nation exclusive broadcast of this Rose Bowl football game, and the Armed Forces Radio Service sending the game on to our fighting forces around the world. The score is 12-0. Southern California is leading Tennessee 10-0. Southern California 12, Tennessee nothing. I believe I said 10. It should have been 12. Score is 12-0. This is Bill Stern speaking from Pasadena, and time is back in again. Ball is resting on the Tennessee 30, call it the 3-yard line. Reagan has come in at left tackle. Doblstein goes out. Single wing over the right, Stevens in the tailback. He's fading back to chuck a pass. He throws it. It's completed to Blessing. Blessing takes it on the 34, and he's knocked down immediately by Don Burnside, who makes a pretty tackle. Burnside, seeing that the defensive or offensive right end has gotten past him, wheels in his tracks, catches him with one hand, and upsets the apple cart. So Tennessee, despite the fact that they completed a forward pass, only picked up 1 yard. It'll be third down, 1 yard to go. Tennessee's ball, Southern California leading 12-0. 3 minutes of playing time remaining in the third period. Here comes Tennessee out of the huddle. They come out very quickly now. They want to get back in this ball game if they possibly can. They're running out of a single wing over to the left. It's an unbalanced line. Buster Stevens is in the tailback. Mark Major's in the plunging spot. Major takes the ball. He's into the center of the line, and he may or may not have picked up that 1 yard. I think he did. He cut between center and left guard. Johnny McGinn, the right guard. It's a first down for Tennessee. Tennessee has won the public sympathy out here because they're the underdog, and you know how everyone roots for underdogs, but Southern California has a terrific rooting section thanks to the fact that this game is being played practically in their backyard. It's being played in Pasadena, which is a scant few miles away from the Southern California campus located in Los Angeles. Tennessee back. They come out of a huddle very quickly. They run back to the line of scrimmage. They have a first down on their own 36-yard line. Buster Stevens is standing now on his own 31-yard line waiting for the pass from center. The ball goes back to Buster. He takes one step backwards looking for a man to throw a pass. He chucks it down on the flat. It's completed to Billy Beavis. Beavis takes it on the 35. He's up to the 40, up to the 45, and he's finally knocked out of bounds on Tennessee's 48-yard line. And there is the first completed forward pass this afternoon for the Tennessee Volunteers. They come up the field and complete a pass as it brings them up to their own 49-yard line. Blake Headley, right halfback for Southern California, is the man who made the defensive stab, which knocked the ball carrier down. Tennessee's ball, 1st and 10 on their own 49-yard line. And Southern California's Jeff Cravath, the coach, stands up, slams his hat down to the ground. And I can imagine just what he's saying. Somebody should have covered Mr. Billy Beavis. Whose man is he? Whoever he is, stick with him. In at fullback goes Johnny Manning. Mark Major comes out. That's a change for Tennessee. It's 1st and 10. That's 2 first downs in a row that the Tennessee Volunteers have reeled off. They have a first down on their own 49-yard line. They swing into a single wing over to the right this time. Buster's in the tailback. Ball goes back to Manning. Manning laterals it back to Stevens. Stevens tries to cut around the right side of his line, and he's trapped. He's trapped back on his own 46-yard line by Clark Higgins and Johnny Ferrero. Manning to Stevens, and the play loses 4 yards. Call it a 3-yard loss. Pins them back, they being the Tennessee Volunteers, to their own 47-yard line, midway between the two sideline stripes. 2nd down, 12 yards to go. There's 1 minute and 40 seconds remaining to be played in the 3rd period of the football game from Pasadena, and the score is Southern California 12, Tennessee nothing. I'd like to single out Johnny Ferrero, the left tackle of Southern California, who is playing a magnificent game this afternoon, too, along with Russ Morrow, the center of Tennessee. Single wing over to the right. Buster Stevens in the tailback, Johnny Manning in the fullback spot. That's the bucking back. Ball goes back to Manning. Manning fakes to give it to Stevenson, keeps it himself, plunges between right guard and center, gets from the 47 to the 50-yard line. Clark Higgins and Johnny Ferrero bring him down, gain of 3 yards on that play. It'll be 3rd down coming up. Let's call it 9 yards to go. It was 2nd and 12 a moment ago. There's 1 minute and 1 second remaining to be played in this 3rd period. Tennessee's trailing by 2 touchdowns. They have the ball right smack on the 50-yard line. They're within 1 yard of getting it over in enemy territory. Can they keep going? A jam-packed stadium in Pasadena. Here comes Tennessee out of the huddle. A big cheer goes up. There is nothing to cause that cheer. The cheerleaders just ask for it and get it. Tennessee into a single wing to the left this time. The power, strangely enough, is on the right side of the line. Stevens for a forward pass. He chucks it. It's thrown down the field, intended for Blessing, and Blessing lets it sail over his shoulder. He can't get it. It's a little bit too far away for him. Incomplete forward pass, and that'll bring up the 4th down, leave 9 yards to go. It'll be Tennessee's ball on the 50-yard line. And to that dear old lady who writes us every week and asks us whose 50-yard line, honestly, I couldn't tell you. It's on the 50-yard line. It's 4th down. It's Tennessee's ball, 9 yards to go. They'll go back into a punt formation. That'll shake Mr. Casey Stevenson, the right halfback of the Volunteers, back to his own 39. Hardy and Burnside are back in safety for Southern California. Burnside standing on his 10, Hardy on the 15. Stevenson takes it. He boots it. It's coming up the field. Waiting to take it is Don Burnside. He takes it back on Southern California's 10-yard line. He's back to the 15, the 20, up to the 25. He keeps driving. He gets to the 26-yard line. He's belted out of bounds on the 27 by Hugh Blessing. And there are 25 seconds remaining in the 3rd period. Score is Southern California 12, Tennessee nothing. Johnny Barnhill, the Tennessee coach, is up off the bench now. He's standing on the sidelines looking out over the field. There'll be about 3 more running plays, perhaps, maybe only 2. First down, 10 yards to go. Southern California's ball. They have it on their own 27-yard line. Ben Miller is coming in at center. Russ Morrow goes out. That's a switch for the Tennessee Volunteers. Mr. Morrow's played a well of a defensive game and offense. Played with a nice center. Been very good on a dependable ball passer. T formation this time. Hardy gives the ball to Whitehead. Whitehead to Headley. Headley tries to pick up yardage. He goes between right guard and right tackle. He gains very little. Doblstein, Edmonds, Wildman, and Blessing all bring him down. And if I may, between plays, I'd like to pay my respects to a gentleman who I think was the greatest sports announcer that ever lived, who began broadcasting these Rose Bowl football games. And although he's gone, he is not forgotten, nor should he ever be, to the one and only Graham McNamee. There is the end, ladies and gentlemen, of the 3rd period. And at the end of the 3rd period, the score is Southern California 12, Tennessee nothing. The teams change goal lines. Tennessee, which had been defending the southern goal line, will now start the defense of the northern goal line, and you can just switch that around for Southern California. We gave you the scores of the other bowl games earlier this afternoon. Another gentleman who is well remembered out here, and I'm sure is listening this afternoon, because he has a great interest in this game, the miracle man of the Rose Bowl, Mr. Clark Shaughnessy. Took a Stanford team which only lost one game in 1939 and in 1940, sent them through an unbeaten season to bring them into the Rose Bowl and play a very strong Nebraska team, which in 5 running plays started off by scoring a touchdown, and then Shaughnessy's men had to come from behind. The very fact that they were able to do it stamped them as a truly great team. Then we can go back and think of some other coaches who have had great teams in here, and looking down at Southern California, I think I ought to pay my respects, as long as we're paying respects, to Howard Jones, who should not be forgotten. He had 7 Rose Bowl teams, and he never lost a game. 6 Rose Bowl games. 7th Rose Bowl Southern California team wasn't his. It was Jeff Cravath's. But that's a great record, and Howard Jones is vividly remembered out here. In the meantime, here comes a running play with Headley carrying the ball. He's up to the 30, up to the 35. He's getting into the clear, goes to the 40, spins away from another man. He reaches the 45, and he's finally knocked out of bounds as he comes all the way up the field to the Southern California 47. Headley carrying the ball. He's already scored 1 touchdown this afternoon, and he takes Southern California out of a hole and brings them up so that they'll be on the attack as they have the ball 1st and 10 on their own 47-yard line. Johnny McGinn is now in at right guard for Southern California. The backfield for the Trojans is Jim Hardy, Don Burnside, Debe Whitehead, and Blake Headley. With the exception of Headley, that's the backfield that started. Morris was in at left halfback. Headley's in his place. 1st and 10 for Southern Cal. They are on their own 48-yard line. An obvious offside. Russ Antles, the center of Southern California, realizing that both teams are all offside, will not pass the ball back, and there's no play. Referee walks in, picks up the ball, says, let's find out what's going to happen here. He's going to face off a 5-yard penalty against Southern California for intentionally trying to create an offside. Takes them back to their own 43-yard lines, called against the Southern California Trojans. The ball goes back to the Trojan 43-yard line. It will be 1st down now, 15 yards to go. Southern California's ball on their own 43, 15 yards in from the eastern side of the playing field. We have started the 4th and final period of the football game from Pasadena, the Rose Bowl. The game that every kid, every youngster ever gets a football in his hand dreams of someday playing in. Burnside in motion this time. Hardy whips one to Whitehead. Whitehead to Headley. Headley coming around the left side of his line across the midfield stripe. He's down into Tennessee territory. And he's knocked down on the Tennessee 47-yard line. As he takes a lateral, cuts outside his own left end, circling the end, gets down to the 47, picking up, well, he picked up the 5 yards. They'd been penalized and an additional 4 yards, a gain of 9 yards on that play. It will be now 2nd down, coming up 6 yards to go. Runs the ball to the Tennessee 48-yard line. Southern California comes out of the huddle slowly. They're back to the line of scrimmage. Whitehead's in the middle of that T formation. Hardy's calling these signals. He gives it to Burnside. Burnside on a crossbuck reaches the 45 and is knocked down on the 45 by Oscar Edwards, the left tackle of Tennessee. Edwards replaced Doblstein just a moment ago. Joe Steffi, incidentally, comes in at left guard now for Tennessee, replacing Mr. Asbury, who had just been in there. Ben Miller's in at center. We gave you that change. Time is called, and called by Southern California. Time is called by USC. There are 14 minutes of playing time, 14 minutes and 1 second of playing time remaining in the Rose Bowl football game from Pasadena, which finds the Trojans of Southern California leading by a score of 12-0. Time is called. 94,000 people sitting in the sunshine watching this game. I might say that Stanford has also been in this big bowl 8 times. Southern California, this is their 8th appearance. Southern California has never lost a game. And Stanford, while they've been an equal number of times, has won 3, lost 4, and I believe tied 1. University of Southern California outweighs Tennessee about 11 pounds per man this afternoon, and in this heat of Pasadena, it's beginning to tell. Here comes Southern California out of the huddle. They come out very rapidly. Don Burnside's in motion this time. He's running out. He's a flanker parallel with the line of scrimmage. The ball is being carried by Hardy. Hardy gives it to Whitehead. Whitehead cracks across the 40, goes down to the Tennessee 38-yard line, then reaches the 36. Whitehead on a line buck, which saw him move outside his own right tackle, made a 1st down for Southern California as he reached the Tennessee 37-yard line. There are 13 minutes and 45 seconds of playing time remaining. Tennessee's playing a 6-man line. 2 men backing up that line. Let's call it on the 37-yard line. Mark Mazur comes back in at fullback. Johnny Mannigan goes out for Tennessee. Doblstein comes in at left tackle. Edmonds goes out also for Tennessee. Hardy gives the ball this time to Headley. Headley trying to cut around the left side of his line, finds a nice hole, gets to the 30. He's down to the 28-yard line, and he's knocked down by Billy Beavis. Goes to the 28-yard line, making a very nice gain on that play. Let's call that gain a very close to 9 yards, as Southern California is now finding the going easier than they found it all afternoon long. As the fact that Southern California is outweighing Tennessee, and the heat is beginning to tell on these two clubs. They're both tiring. Tennessee, being the lighter of the two, is showing it the more readily. Southern California coming out of the huddle now. They have a second down, 1 yard to go on the Tennessee 28-yard line. Burnside this time gives it to Whitehead. Whitehead cracks through the center of the line. He reaches the 20-yard line before he's knocked down by Mark Mason, the fullback of Tennessee, who comes up and makes a nice tackle, hitting him low. There's another first down for Southern California. 12 minutes and 40 seconds remaining to be played in this football game, and the Trojans are leading 12-0. Southern Cal back into a huddle. They've come almost better than half the length of the field now. They find themselves with a first down. Ben Miller, the center of Tennessee, is calling defensive signals. He's out in front of that line, telling them to shift, and they're coming into a 7-man line to see if they can stop this running attack. Hardy giving the ball to Burnside. Burnside tracking over his own right tackle, reaches the 15, the 13, the 12. He's down to the 10, gets across the 10 and reaches the 9-yard line. Don Burnside reeling another first down off for Southern California. The Trojans are now beginning to move majestically down the field. This great Tennessee volunteer team, which played so majestically in the first, second, and third period, and at times in this football game outplayed Southern California, is now finding that they can't hold this surging attack of the Southern California Trojans. And the Trojans have driven deep, and they're going deeper every moment. They've now gone all the way down to the Tennessee 9-yard line, where they have the ball first down, 9 yards to go. Here comes Southern California out of the huddle. Time had been called momentarily, but it's back in now. Southern California out. They have a first down out of the huddle. Hardy takes the ball this time, gives it to Headley. Headley following his interference, skirts around, gives the ball to Hardy again in a reverse. Hardy goes down, crosses into the 3, the 2, the 1. He's into the end zone, and Southern Cal scores again. Again, Southern California scored. Here's what happened. Jim Hardy to Burnside. He gave it to Burnside. Burnside started a few paces with it, flipped it back to Jim Hardy. Hardy reversed his tracks, cut around dead. He cut on 10 cents and handed him back 8 cents and change. Reversed his field, cut over to the right, hit into the end zone, just going into the far corner, knocked the flag over, which tells where the corner is, but the referee has ruled that he stepped in perfectly legitimately, and the referee knows, and it's another touchdown for Southern California. They are now out in front, leading 18-0. Pat West has come in for the Trojans. He'll try it for the extra point. He kicks it up in the air. The kick is good. Southern California leads 19-0. Here's a switch at right tackle for Tennessee. Stewart comes into the ball game, replacing Reason, who goes out. Russ Morrow comes back in at center. Oh, listen to that Trojan victory song across the field. Let's give it a hear. Well, Southern California has a right to be pretty proud. They're beating a team which hasn't been beaten all season long and which has played some mighty fair teams. This Tennessee team beat Kentucky, Mississippi, Florida, Alabama, Clemson, Louisiana State, Temple, and Kentucky. As a matter of fact, they tied Alabama. That's the only blot on an otherwise perfect record. But they beat everybody else. Now they're trailing by 3 touchdowns, 19-0. There are 11 minutes and 40 seconds remaining to be played. Ben Schlegel comes in at left half, replacing Don Burnside for Southern Cal. Cal will boot it. Tennessee will try to come back. Alan Law is replacing Casey Stevenson at right halfback for Tennessee, and Asbury comes back in at left guard also for Tennessee. West boots it. The ball's up in the air. It's going back into the end zone. Is taken behind the end zone by Billy Beeves. He's back to the 5, up to the 10, up to the 15. He's hit down on the 15-yard line. Billy Beeves took it from his end zone about 5 yards behind the goal line, brought it up the field some 18 yards and was knifed down on his own 15-yard line. It's Tennessee's ball, 1st and 10 on their own 15. There are 11 minutes and 15 seconds remaining to be played in this Rose Bowl football game. Southern California now triumphantly out in front, 19-0. Tennessee back into a huddle. That's the first score in the second half of the football game. Johnny Barnhill gets up off the bench. He's going to send a man in, and you can bet your bottom dollar he'll have some instructions. Back into a single wing over to the right go the Tennessee Volunteers. In the tailback is Stevens. Mark Major's in the bucking spot. The ball goes back to Major. Major gives it to Stevens. Stevens to Law. Law's trapped on the 11-yard line and thrown for a 4-yard loss. 3 Tennessee men carrying that ball, but they can't get rid of the ball and they can't pick up the yardage. Major, Stevens, and Law all had their hands on that. On a double reverse work behind the Tennessee line of scrimmage. Comes up for a net loss of 4 yards. Johnny Ferraro, this great tackle of Southern California, who I had been told was terrific and is living up to his press notices. He is great. coming in there to make the tackle on that play. And time, I believe, is called. Incidentally, about USC, those two tackles, Johnny Ferrero, the boy we were just talking about, weighs a mere 235. But if you think he's large, his co-teammate, that would be the right tackle, Johnny Pahar, weighs 285. So the combined weight of the two USC tackles at Southern Cal is 520 pounds. How would you like to buck your way through those two guys? One weighs 285, the other weighs 235. Those are the two tackles for Southern Cal, and they have present a combined weight of 520 pounds. Well, you've been listening to enough talk from me. Let's get that band music. Time's out of the Tennessee band, and let's give it a listen. Back in the NBC broadcasting booth. Incidentally, we've been talking about Russ Dobelstein a lot. As you know, he is one of the Tennessee linemen, the left tackle. The youngster was actually only 16 years old when this football season began, which gives you a slight idea of the age of some of these lads playing out here. That Tennessee team has 7 freshmen in its starting lineup. Buster Stevens in the tailback. The ball is back on the Tennessee 6-yard line now. It is second down coming up, 19 yards to go. Buster Stevens takes it, fakes to give the ball to Billy Beavis, does give it to Beavis this time. Beavis comes across the 10-yard line, gets to the 15-yard line, keeps going. He's finally knocked out of bounds, and he comes to the 19-yard line. Billy Beavis picking up a lot of yardage, but they needed a great deal. Runs it up to the 15-yard line where he's finally pressed out of bounds. That will bring up, well, we'll call that the third down now coming up, and roughly 6 yards still to gain. Let's call it between 5 and 6. There are 10 minutes and 20 seconds remaining in the Rose Bowl game from Pasadena. Tennessee has the ball deep back in their own territory. Just ran it from the 6 up to the 20-yard line when Buster Stevens, their left halfback, who's been a consistent ground gainer for the Volunteers all afternoon, took the ball and skirted his own left end. Buster's in the tailback again. Mark Majors in the bucking spot. The ball goes back to Buster. He's fading back to tuck a pass. He's all the way back to his 7. He's back to his 10. He throws it up to the 20-yard line. It's caught on the 20 by Charlie Wildman, who falls down, reaches the 24. But he's knocked down on the 24. So there's a gain of about 4 yards on that play. Pat West, defensive fullback of Southern California, makes the tackle. That'll bring up a 4th down, leave 2 yards to go. Well, what would you do, quarterbacks? 4th and 2. Your team is trailing by 19 points. Would you kick it and play it safe, or would you try to run it? Let's see what Tennessee's going to do. 9 minutes and 51 seconds remaining in this football game. Tennessee goes back into a punt formation. They're shaking Buster Stevens back into kick formation. Now, Buster Stevens hasn't been doing most of the kicking. He's been doing some of it this afternoon. Stevenson's been doing the majority, but Stevenson isn't in the game. Buster's going to boot it. He does. He kicks it up the field. Waiting to take it is Hardy and Slagle. Slagle takes it back on the Southern California 40-yard line. He's up to the 43, up to the 45, up to the 50-yard line, crosses down into Tennessee territory, and he's hit down on the Tennessee 48-yard line by Billy Beavis, quarterback and captain of the Tennessee Volunteers. That will be a first down for Southern California now, 1st and 10 on the Tennessee 48-yard line. Incidentally, that Buster Stevens just booted that ball, wears number 77 on his jersey, and while numbers mean nothing over the radio, to Tennessee fans, 77 means a great deal. Bobby Fox, one of their immortal football stars, wore 77. And strangely enough, Red Grange of Illinois once wore it, too. Here is Mr. Hardy fading back to throw a forward pass for Southern California. Cocks his arm back. There goes a long, long pass, and it is caught. Caught by Hardy down on the 10-yard line, and he drops it. He catches it down on the 10-yard line and then drops it. Has it in his hand, turns around, faces the goal, starts to run, and the ball gets away from him. Don Hardy, left end of Southern California, takes a long heave. That was thrown by Jim Hardy on the Southern California 41-yard line, and it was caught by Don Hardy, his brother, the left end of the same team, on the Tennessee 10-yard line. That was a 49-yard pass through the air. Ooh, that brought this crowd to the feet. Back in Knoxville, I assure you, they're listening very attentively to this broadcast, and your team is not lying down, even though they are trailing. They are very much on their feet and playing the best they possibly can. Southern California has a great team out here this afternoon. Schlegel carrying the ball. He knifes his way between right guard and center. He goes from the 48 to the 43-yard line. Russ Morrow, Asbury, Dobelstein, the entire center of that volunteer team are in there to stop him. Now, it's very easy to criticize, but I wonder how many that are going to criticize, and if they what they would criticize for, I haven't the faintest idea. I wonder how many of those could do any better themselves if they were out here. And you're up against a Southern California team which is hot, and this team is hot today. You're playing one of the best teams in the United States. The Southern Cal team was unbeaten this season. Blake Headley in motion this time. The ball goes to Schlegel. Schlegel cuts on a crossbuck between right guard and right tackle. He moves to the 40-yard line. Asbury and Dobelstein come in to bring him down. Incidentally, speaking about the power of this USC team, if they had scored one more touchdown during their regular season, just one more, they'd have been the highest-scoring Southern California team in that institution's history. They were one touchdown shy of creating a new record. Now, that speaks volumes. At the moment, the score is 19-0. Southern California is leading Tennessee with 8 minutes of playing time remaining to be played in this Rose Bowl game from Pasadena. George Murphy comes in at quarterback. He replaces Mr. Jim Hardy. Murphy goes back into punt formation. He's booting from the middle of the field from the 50-yard line. Waiting back to take it is Buster Stevens. The ball goes into the end zone. It'll be Tennessee's ball, 1st and 10 on the Volunteers' 20-yard line. Ball must be brought out. One of the most thrilling finishes I have ever seen in any football game occurred right here in this famous Rose Bowl, but then this bowl is famous for its famous finishes, if I may use such an ungrammatical phrase, was when Southern California was being beaten back on January the 1st, 1939, by a Duke team which had not even been scored on all season. It was unbeaten, untied, and unscored on. Duke was leading 3-0. Suddenly, the Trojans came to life. They started with 40 seconds remaining in the game. A guy by the name of Doyle Nave, fourth-string quarterback, started pitching the ball. He threw 4 in a row to Al Kruger, who took the last one to just beat the gun, and Southern Cal had won the ball game 7-3. Buster Stevens in the tailback for Tennessee now. Buster's fading back, takes the ball, fakes to throw a pass, elects to run with it, doesn't even get back to the line of scrimmage. He's trapped back on his own 17-yard line. Dave Lavelle, who's come in at right guard, replacing Johnny McCann. Lavelle comes in and makes that tackle. His first play in the game, and he makes the tackle. Charlie Wildman, left end, is going out of the ball game at Tennessee, and Hugh Blessing is coming in. That is a switch at left end. Carty is coming in at left guard. Asbury is going out. That's another change for Tennessee. Here comes Tennessee up to the line of scrimmage. They lost 3 yards on that last play. There are 7 minutes and 20 seconds remaining to be played in this football game. USC's out in front, 19-0. They played a bang-up ball game. Buster Stevens in the tailback. Buster carrying the ball. He's up to the 20, gets away from one man, comes to the 25 or 30, and he's knocked down on the 34-yard line. Oh, that boy can really run it. Buster Stevens coming all the way from his own 16-yard line where he took the pass from center, reaches the 34 before he's brought down, and he gives new life to the Tennessee Rooters. Southern California rooting section across the field has had a great deal to yell about today. They knew they had a good team, and the team has played its head off and played brilliantly. Southern Cal's playing a 6-man line at the moment. Time is called by the Volunteers of Tennessee. Time is called. Ike Hill, the Tennessee trainer, starts to run on the field. He's stopped by the referee, but then he says, look, I got a right to be out there. Ref says, you're right. Go on out. So he has. Time is called. Jim Hardy comes back in the football game, replacing George Murphy at quarterback for Southern California. Murphy's trotting over to the sidelines and getting a very nice hand. USC has never been beaten in this Rose Bowl, and it doesn't look like they're going to be beaten this afternoon. They beat Penn State. You can check me on some of these figures. This is as near as I can remember. In 1923, I think about 14-3. They beat Pittsburgh in 1930, about 47-14. They walloped Tulane 21-12 in 32. They beat Pittsburgh again about 35-0. In 33, they beat Duke 7-3, Tennessee 14-0, and Washington last year 29-0. Those may be a point or two off. Here's Tennessee trying to carry the ball. In the meantime, the ball goes to Law on a reverse. Law gets to the 37-yard line, up to the 39, and he's knocked down by Blake Headley. Takes the ball from Billy Beavis. Reverses his field, cuts to the 39-yard line as he goes outside his own left tackle. He's brought down on the 39-yard line. Johnny Manning comes in at fullback. Mark Major goes out of the football game. Referee is J.J. Lynch, a Holy Cross. And he gets in, picks that ball up, and puts it right down where it was. But he has the right to do that. Let any one of the either teams start to do that, and you'd find a little bit of trouble brewing. Single wing over to the left, this time unbalanced line. Buster Stevens in the tailback at second down, 5 yards to go. Volunteers have the ball on their own 38-yard line. Ball goes back to Buster. Buster fades back to throw a pass. He throws it intended for Blessing. Blessing can't get under it. Goes over his head. Incomplete. I'd gamble on saying that Tennessee's thrown more passes this afternoon than they threw in the entire rest of the season. They had thrown 7 in the first half. They have thrown 6 in this half. No, I'm wrong. They've only thrown 13. They've thrown 13 passes to date in this game, and they threw 15 in the entire rest of the football season. But among those 15, they threw 5 for touchdowns. That's a pretty good average. In fact, that's par for any course. Steve Whitehead at fullback for Southern California is playing very close to that line and playing a brilliant defensive game. He's backing up the line. He and Russ Antles for Southern Cal. Third down, 5 yards to go. Buster Stevens in the tailback. He's 170 pounds, 75 pounds. Ball goes back to Manning. Manning into the center of the line. He knifes his way across the tackle, gets to the 40, the 45, up to the 50-yard line, and is down into Southern California territory. Whitehead has to trail the play and make the tackle from the rear. Chasing the ball carrier, and because he's the faster of the two men, he brings him down. That is a first down for Tennessee, and it brings the ball down to the Southern California 49-yard line. There are 5 minutes and 45 seconds remaining in this football game. Unbeaten Tennessee playing unbeaten Southern California, being exclusively broadcast by NBC in cooperation with the Armed Forces Radio Service, which is sending it around the world. Goes back to Manning. Manning butts his way through the center of the line. The same play, which just gained 11 yards, picks up 4 more as the ball carrier moves the ball forward from the 49 to roughly the 45. Referee Lynch picks the ball up, puts it down on the, well, he hasn't put it down right now. He's still holding the ball, and he's talking to both captains. Looked like there's going to be a penalty against Tennessee. Both captains come in. They're talking to him now. Hardy and Beavis are both standing on both sides of him, finding out what this is all about. Tennessee is going to be penalized. We've had no signals to what this penalty's for. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 yards for offside. Tennessee on the last play. This is Tennessee's 8th time in this bowl, and that's quite a record. We said earlier this afternoon the 3 Callanan brothers. Well, the 3rd Callanan, Mr. Howard Callanan, who played last year, is missing in action. George had his knee bunged up in the UCLA game. He isn't able to play today, and Jim is calling the signals and playing a beautiful game. Single wing over the right this time for Tennessee. Buster Stevens back. He's fading back, second forward pass. Cocks his arm back, looks for his man. Throws a long Tennessee pass. It's intercepted by Hardy. The quarterback of Southern California takes it on the 20. He's back to the 25, the 30, up to the 35, up to the 40, up to the 45, and he's finally knocked down as he crosses the midfield stripe. Jim Hardy, quarterback of Southern California, comes up to the middle of the field as he makes a pass interception deep down on his own 20-yard line. And so, with 5 minutes of playing time remaining in this football game, Southern California intercepts, brings the ball up to the middle of the field. Buster Stevens threw it. It was intended for Hugh Blessing. Blessing was nowhere near it. Hardy intercepted, and it's Southern Cal's ball, 1st and 10 on the Tennessee 49. And the Trojans ask for timeout. Incidentally, injured on that play was the boy who brought the ball up the field, who has played magnificently today for Southern California, Jim Hardy, the captain. As I think I said earlier in this game, he is the greatest forward passer in Southern Cal's history, and that's taking in a lot of territory. But his record to date would bear me out. He has completed better than 50% of the passes he's thrown this year. And that's a mighty good record. He's a fine kicker. He's a good runner. He's an excellent field strategist. Incidentally, plays third base on the baseball team. At the moment, he is injured. He's lying down on the grass. They're helping him to his feet now. He was the star of last year's Rose Bowl game when he threw 3 passes for touchdowns. He is going out of the ball game, and he should get a whale of a hand when he goes out. Across the field, Southern Cal is singing. Let's listen to that. Time's still out. I wonder how good your memory is. You remember who won the Rose Bowl game last year? Do you remember who played in it? Southern Cal beat Washington 29-0. Let's go a year back further. Can you remember that one? When Georgia beat UCLA, Frankie Sinkwich, 9-0. And Oregon State and Duke, when that game was played at Durham, Oregon State won 20 to Duke 16. Then Stanford, the team we talked about earlier today, beat Nebraska 21-13 back in 41. And Southern California had 2 victories in a row. They beat Tennessee 14-0, and they beat Duke 7-3. Now we're getting back. California 13, Alabama nothing, and that takes us back to 1938. Here comes Mr. George Callanan is coming into the ball game. That's the boy we said would probably not play today. He's got a bad ankle. He's in at left halfback replacing Ben Schlegel. So 2 Callanans are in the game. In the meantime, the ball is being carried by Deb Whitehead now. He just picks this ball up, takes a bad pass from center, tries to buck his way between right guard and right tackle, and he's knifed down to the ground when he can gain very, very little. George Murray is in at left tackle, replacing Russ Doblestein for Tennessee. And here's another change. Meneses comes in at right halfback. Alan Law goes out. That's another change for Tennessee. There are 4 minutes and 40 seconds remaining in the Rose Bowl. We're in the fourth and final period. Southern California is leading 19 to Tennessee's nothing. Schlegel comes back in, replacing Callanan, who was in for one play. Jeff Krabath put Georgie in this ball game so they could say he played on the Rose Bowl, and certainly no man deserves it more than does Callanan. The three Callanan brothers last year for USC were terrific. As I said a moment ago, Howard is now missing in action. George had a bad leg, and Jim's been playing all day at right end, and he's the guy that blocked the kick that set up Southern California's first touchdown. As a matter of fact, he scored that on that blocked kick. T formation. Ball is given this time to Headley. Headley coming around the left side of his line. He's down to the 45, down to the 40, and he's down to the 37-yard line. He goes outside his own left tackle, and there's a hole big enough to drive a truck through. Billy Beavis, playing safety for Tennessee, has to come way up and make that tackle. Georgie Callanan caught 2 passes for touchdowns in the bowl game last year. That's the boy who was only put in for one play this year. Well, if you were the coach, wouldn't you give him a chance to get in just for one play out of respect for what he did a year ago? First down, 10 yards to go. Southern Cal's ball on the Tennessee 37-yard line. Unbeaten Southern California gives the ball this time to Ben Schlegel, who knifes his way between center and right guard. He gets to the 33, down to the 30, and he's knocked down on the 32-yard line. Nemesis, the right halfback of Tennessee, brings him down. Proves to be his nemesis, if you'll pardon that terrible pun. Whitehead running the interference for him and throwing a beautiful body block, which took Buster Stevens right out of the play. 3 minutes of playing time remaining in this football game. They're bringing in the line sticks to see whether it is or is not a first down for Southern California. Schlegel is going out. Davis is coming in at left halfback for Southern California. In case you'd like to hear some of the places where this football game is going, in case you have loved ones in those places, well, it's just about every place where we have them. South Pacific, Central and South America, Southwest Pacific, the Philippines, Alaska, China, England, Ireland, France, Italy, Germany, Alaska, North Africa. And that's all in cooperation with the Armed Forces Radio Service. Single wing. Now it's a T formation with Murphy calling the signals, giving it to Davis. Davis is the new left halfback. He goes off his own right guard between Payhar and Lavelle. That's right tackle and right guard. Gets down to the 25-yard line. Is knocked down by Russ Merrow, roving center of Tennessee. And there are 3 minutes and 40 seconds remaining to be played in this game. Southern California's ball. Shadows are beginning to fall across the gridiron now. The sun is still just beaming down. There is not a cloud up in the sky. It's a beautiful day, and we're coming to the end of this ball game. Second down, 8 yards to go. In the meantime, here's a reverse with Davis carrying the ball. He knifes his way across between right tackle and right end, going for a gain, I would say, of roughly about 4 yards, reaching the 20-yard line. Call it a 5-yard gain before he's knocked down by Ben Miller, who's come in at center, replacing Russ Morrow. Ball is resting now on the Tennessee 20-yard line. Southern California's ball. Tennessee playing a 7-man line. There are 3 minutes of playing time. We'll call it 2 minutes and 50 seconds remaining in the football game. It's the Rose Bowl game from Pasadena. Score is 19-0. Southern California leading. They have 3 touchdowns. George Murphy calling these signals. Murphy gives it to Whitehead. Whitehead on a driving line plunge reaches the 15-yard line. He's driving low with his knees up high, and there is a first down for Southern California. 1st and 10 for the Trojans of Southern Cal. They're down on the Tennessee 15-yard line. Whitehead with his knees high, his chest low. He offered very, very little, well, practically no place to hit him. His knees were so high they were pounding into his own chest. His head was low. He found the hole between center and left guard, and he was driving so hard that Billy Beavis, Johnny Manning, and Buster Stevens all had to hit him to bring him down. 1st and 10. 2 minutes and 15 seconds remaining in this football game. Murphy calling them again. He gives the ball to Davis. Davis off his own right guard, reaches the 13-yard line, is pressed back by Steffi on the 13-yard line. Murray's in for an assist on the tackle. Ball carrier's belted back so hard he reels back to the 15-yard line. But the referee says the forward motion was stopped on the 13-yard line, so there's a gain on that play of 2 yards. Time, I believe, is going to be partially called. Coming into the game are Redding, Kelly, Bailing, Edmonds, and Bellis. They're all coming back in. I'll give that to you. Redding, Kelly, Bailey, Edmonds, and Bellis are all coming back into the game for Tennessee at the moment. Solata has come in at left end, and Gardner has come in at right halfback for Southern California. The hands you hear going up out of your loudspeaker system now are for the Tennessee boys who are trotting over to the sidelines. I've just given you the 5 substitutes that came into the ball game, and since you've had them all afternoon so repeatedly in and out of this play, I'll not particularly give you the positions rather than be monotonous. You know, Billy Beavis goes in at quarterback. Well, there's no sense in going all right. You've had that plenty of times. All right, it is second down, 3 yards to go. Southern California's ball. Make it 2nd and 9, I should have said, rather than 3. 2nd and 9, Southern California's ball on the Tennessee 14.5-yard line. Whitehead carrying the ball. He's down to the 10-yard line, crosses the 10, gets to the 7-yard line. He's knocked down on the 7-yard line, and he's knocked down by Steffi, by Kelly, who's in at center, by Doblstein, who's in at right guard. Ball goes down to the 7-yard line. There's 1 minute and 40 seconds remaining to be played in this football game. It's the world-famous Rose Bowl from Pasadena. Always a great football game, and it's been a hard-fought contest this afternoon, with Tennessee trailing but never quitting. Murphy calling these signals out of the tee. He gives the ball to Davis. Davis past the 5. He's down to the 4-yard line. Gets just past the 5, hits the 4, tries to duck away from a man, steps back to the 4, but even so, he makes a first down. Picked up 2 yards on that play, 3 yards, and that's enough for a first down. Southern Cal has the ball. 1st and 4 on the Tennessee 4-yard line. And Southern California is leading by 19 points. Are they going to get another touchdown? The crowd stands up. Tennessee, to block this touchdown, is playing an 8-man line, the first time they've done it this afternoon. Murphy down right behind the center. Antles for Southern California. Murphy takes the ball this time, gives it to Whitehead. Whitehead in the center line. He's down to the 3, down to the 2, down to the 1-yard line. He's stopped on the 1-yard line. He's about a foot away from that goal line. Deep Whitehead, the fullback of Southern California. There's only 51 seconds remaining in this football game. Can they stop them for 51 seconds, or will Tennessee be scored on again? Tennessee's playing a 9-man line to stop him now. Now there's only 41 seconds remaining in the football game. It's Southern California's ball down on the Tennessee goal line. It's 1 foot away. Here comes Southern Cal out of the huddle very quickly now. George Murphy's down right behind the center. The crowd's pouring down the field. He gives the ball to Whitehead. Whitehead into the center of the line. The whole Tennessee team is in to stop him. The referee's untangling the pile. They're all piled up on the goal line now. Crowd settles down to see whether they did or whether they did not make it. I think they were stopped on the goal line. He's pulling off player one after another. Now there's 20 seconds, 19 seconds. They did not make it. That ball is still 1 foot away from the goal line. There's 15 seconds, 14 seconds, 13 seconds, 12 seconds, 10 seconds, and the clock is stopped. On the field comes Jim Hardy's coming back in the ball game at quarterback. Murphy goes out. George Murray, goes out at quarterback. The ball is resting 6 inches away from the goal line, and here is a 5-yard penalty against Southern California for taking too much time between plays. Too much time between plays. Southern California gets the whistle on the play, then doesn't go back into a huddle, and the referee immediately penalizes them 5 yards. Southern Cal has the ball on the Tennessee 6-yard line, 5.5-yard line. There's 1 second remaining in the game. Ball goes back to Hardy. He's fading back to throw a pass at the last play of the game. It's caught! It's completed! Lund, the new right end of Southern California, takes it on the last play of the game in the end zone for a touchdown.
Happy New Year, old farm.
Oh, we're really having a sight out here. The crowd had poured down on the field, thinking the game was over. They had started to tear the goal post down, and they must leave the goal post up so that Southern California can try their kick. Southern Cal just scored a touchdown. Hardy threw it. Jim Lund, the new right end, caught it in the end zone. That makes the score 25-0. Now, if they can kick this, these goalposts were half torn down. The police are battling to keep them up so they can try to kick this extra point. Now the police and blue jackets and soldiers have restored a little bit of order. They've got the goalposts up, but they're holding them up. They're no longer implanted in the ground. In other words, picture, if you will, an excited throng here tearing down the goalpost just before the game was over. With 1 second to go, Southern California scored. Now they've got to be given the chance to kick this extra point. They're not going to try to run for it. Davis, on the other hand, is going to try to pass it. He can't get the pass away. He elects to try to run for it. He's stopped. He can't make the extra point, and the ball game winds up 25-0. That's the end of the Rose Bowl game. Southern California wins. That was really a thrilling finish. Southern California, with 1 second to go, completed a forward pass. Hardy threw it to Lund. The goalposts were being torn down. The police had to come down, restore order, put the goalpost back up. They didn't even try to kick it over those goalposts. They tried to run it with Davis trying to run it. He didn't make it, and Southern California wins the 1945 Rose Bowl game 25-0. And now for a recap and to take us off the air, here is my compatriot, Mr. Joy Storm. Come in, Joy.
Thank you very much, Bill Stern. And ladies and gentlemen, what a thrill and what a finish. We've never seen such a finish to a ball game anywhere before. Now for a short recap. Beginning the last half, Tennessee kicked off to SC. SC advanced to midfield, forced a kick, and Tennessee took over on their 36. Buster Stevens got off a nice 17-yard run to midfield. After an exchange of punts, Tennessee found themselves in a bad hole, as an SC punt went out of bounds on the Tennessee 8. Again, Buster Stevens got the balls out of the hole on a brilliant run of 25 yards to the Tennessee 33. The balls carried to midfield just before the quarter ended, with SC in possession on the SC 22. No score in the third quarter. At the start of the fourth period, SC on a sustained drive carried for 5 consecutive first downs and a touchdown. The conversion was good, and the Trojans were leading 19-0. SC kicked off to Tennessee, but the balls were in a hole, forced to kick to SC. Again, SC took over at midfield, but were unable to gain, and after a punt, the Vols took over on their own 20. A sustained drive took the Vols to midfield, but SC took over on a pass interception. With only 4 minutes to play. Another drive carried SC to a touchdown in the final second of play, as Bill told you just a moment ago. And the final score, SC 25, Tennessee nothing. And that just about winds up the story, ladies and gentlemen. This has been another colorful day here in the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California. We've seen the Trojans of California win from the Volunteers of Tennessee. The final score again, 25-0 in favor of SC. The play-by-play description of the Rose Bowl was given to you by Bill Stern. His spotters were Eddie Critchbaum of Tennessee and Bill Waters of the Southern California. Radio engineers in charge of technical arrangements for the broadcast were Joe Kay, Hal Platt, Art Brearley, and Don Baker of NBC. The field announcer was Frank Barton. Joe Alvin was in charge of production. This is Joy Storm speaking. We return you now to the NBC studios in Hollywood.